What is going on, everybody? It is episode 306 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I'm here with my co-host once again. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. I'm still here. Honestly, I'm feeling the pull of the weekend, but yesterday I was happy about watching Blood and Honey. Today, not so much. I have to watch Quantumania later. I'm not looking forward to it. But Ian being here helps.
Thanks, Mary. Good to see you, ma'am.
You really elevate the vibe in the room.
I want to know. I know you guys already did a review on Blood and Honey, but I want to hear about at least a little bit about it. We talked about it before the show. You said it was violent.
It's very, very violent.
Yep.
Heavily gory.
Yeah. And in the chat, guys, I have a poll up here right now. It says, I asked the chat, I said, have you seen our Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey review? And so far, 76% said no, but they will check it out when they are done with this episode of the show. So that is good. That is good. I do recommend that if you guys like violent movies with very little plot, go and see it. There was a really funny comment already on one that said, because I labeled the video Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, light on plot, heavy on gore. And somebody goes, so it's like a horror movie from the 80s without the nudity. I'm like, oh, no, my friend. There actually is nudity in the first 30 minutes.
I mean, it's not a lot of nudity,
it's not gratuitous.
Relatively tame.
Like, when I saw that, I was like, really? 30 minutes? Like, I thought there would be more because they did it right away, but they got it out of the way quickly.
Right.
It was like they were paying homage to older horror movies.
I feel like they weren't paying attention to anything, so it just ended up there.
Well, even like having like there was like a gas station worker who was like randomly American, like that didn't make any sense because this is taking place in the UK.
Maybe they just think going to any rural area or going on a road trip equals American.
Like everyone who works at a gas station in a rural area has an American accent. That wouldn't really make any sense.
Having a pickup truck makes you American.
Yeah, basically. But yes, if you like gore and violence and shots that linger on very violent images, it is worth going to see. But I would say go do that just so you don't have to go see a Marvel movie. So you don't have to go see Quantumania.
I have to see both.
Yeah,
so imagine how it feels to be me.
So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Keanu Reeves has come out and he made some claims he made some comments about the dangers of deepfake technology, and then he kind of drew it back into commenting about how that affects the entertainment industry. He has a clause in his contract that doesn't allow for CGI alterations to his performance without his express permission. So
That's
we're gonna
smart.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Chelsea Handler still coping with the fact that people made fun of her because she can't admit that she wants kids, but she didn't say that. But
I definitely believe Chelsea Handler doesn't want kids, but I also think she thinks other people shouldn't have them either, which is a step too far.
So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about the whiny babies at Disney who are complaining to Bob Iger that they have to go back into the office and work, that they don't get to work remote. And I'll tell you this. I was like kind of not on their side, but I was willing to hear them out until I got to the part about COVID regulations, and then I was just like, nope, whiny babies. They're all whiny babies. So we're going to talk about that. We got a bunch of other stuff. But before we get into it, I got a bunch of like kind of small announcements to get into, so we're just going to do these first. First things first, if you want to know Hollywood's most recent horrible decision, there is going to be a Starsky and Hutch all-female reboot. Yesterday, Vera Dark tagged me in this announcement, and it didn't mention the female reboot part, and I tagged hashtag all female reboot time as a joke.
Oh,
and then
I didn't realize.
I didn't realize, and then I went back and looked, and it actually is going to be a female reboot of Starsky and Hutch, which nobody needs, nobody wants, nobody desires in any way, shape, or form. It would be like making Lethal Weapon with women now. It wouldn't work.
What would be a women-led movie that shouldn't be gender-bent to
Coyote Ugly.
Coyote Ugly.
Do not make Coyote Ugly. Well, it is
sure.
just Magic Mike. It's
Well, not exactly. Not exactly. Because the Coyote Ugly girls at least have the plausible deniability that they're not strippers.
That's a fair point.
They just dance.
What would be an all-female? The Craft?
Well, Alien, it wasn't an all-female movie, but it was a female-led movie. I don't know, you guys see Alien, the first one, with Sigourney Weaver? And it's like the mother killing the mother. Is like the alien is the mother. Oh, you got one in my coffee.
No.
Right in the coffee.
Who did that? Congratulations.
And so early on in the show
did it.
as well.
Incredible.
Months. So I think it would be, to take away the female lead from a movie like Alien, you'd lose a lot of the empowerment of like the reluctant female killing the mother alien, you know?
I'm thinking
fighting it.
The Craft was all female, or Wild Things. You couldn't make Wild Things with men. That wouldn't really work. Ian knows what I'm talking about. Like, it was the 90s.
Yeah,
like,
that movie was hot. Is that Denise Richards?
And yeah, Nev Campbell, right?
Yep.
Like that's
like super sexualized.
Yeah, like you can't do that. Like it just doesn't work. Like,
so what about a non-sexual female-led movie?
Okay, that's a harder question. What would chat? What say you? What say everyone? Like, what would be a female-led movie that Mary? Are there any female-led movies that you love that wouldn't work or that would work maybe?
That wouldn't work.
Or
I mean,
would.
I think most things don't work when you reboot them or try to give them like a quirky twist.
Yeah.
So, but nothing in particular comes to mind.
Let's make a League of Their Own with men.
Great movie. Geena Davis, man, she's my hero in the 90s.
You can't make She's the Man anymore if it's a man pretending to be a woman,
because it would just be real life.
Because then it would be too close to home, right?
Yeah. Or
that stuff's just happening in colleges everywhere.
Legally Blonde, they're saying that would be that's probably
that
true.
would just be a man being a lawyer.
What about Clueless? Like,
I mean, I thought about that too, but
what if you make a bunch of dumb dudes being like Dion and Cher?
See, that's Paul Rudd's best work in my mind.
Oh yeah.
Tonight is gonna be bleak for me. It's gonna be a bad experience.
Wait, so you're telling me that like Paul Rudd, who was like, you talk about Hollywood agenda going back all the way to the 90s.
Oh, come on. Okay, look, this is something.
I don't agree with it. I'm telling you what their argument would be. Like that Paul Rudd was his stepbrother, not stepbrother anymore, and he was in college and she was only a freshman in high school.
I haven't seen any of the Ant-Men, but does Rudd give off the vibe that he's like being held hostage in that movie? Like, is there any points where it looks like, oh my God, I'm paid to say these lines?
No,
kind of
no. I think he's charming enough as an actor, and he's kind of he's very much like a Ryan Reynolds, that he's paid to be Paul Rudd in most of his performances. He's not like straining himself to put off like Scott Lang isn't much different than Paul Rudd is in general.
That's the character's name, Scott Lang.
Yeah, so like he's not really all that much different anyways. So I don't think that has to be different. Now I'm like obsessing over what the female reboot, what other movies we could do with
someone said Dumb and Dumber. You could not make a Dumb and Dumber.
Wouldn't be
with
funny.
Women. No,
it wouldn't be funny.
Sense and Sensibility.
One of the great things about comedy, physical comedy, is short hair, because when you do takes and things, when you turn your head really fast, if I might have already mentioned this before, if your hair flops as you move, it distracts from the face. Like you just want the face as a full unit turning and moving, so that you can focus on the hilarity of the change. So the distractions, that's I think a lot of times why they say women aren't funny in quotes. It's just because
they just need to put their hair in a bun.
Yeah, you need like short hair. That's all you need. And then it's hilarious.
Then they'd be funny. Yeah.
So they referenced that the original Starsky and Hutch, and then they referenced the 2004 Starsky and Hutch that Todd Phillips directed. There was originally going to be another version done by James Gunn that didn't get made. They ended up passing on it. So you know what? I don't think it's going to work, guys. I just
all of these ideas are just like, if you take those female characters and make them male, they'll just be gay men. So it's impossible.
Fair enough. So we don't just have this announcement. This one is also, this almost could have been worthy of a topic if there was more news, but they're saying that Dwayne Johnson could be the next Jack Sparrow, which is a horrible idea, but it actually feels like fully in line with him.
Explain exactly why this is a horrible idea. If Johnny Depp is unwilling to return to the franchise.
Because I don't want The Rock I don't want The Rock doing these kind of roles. I want him to go back to doing like G.I. Joe. I want him to go back to doing the Fast and the Furious or Hobbs and Shaw. I don't like I don't like the niche of him being the gentle giant, like quirky guy.
Well, that's all that giant dudes can be now. Like Dave Bautista has to do that.
That's why you go watch Hobbs and Shaw. Hobbs and Shaw wasn't made that long ago. That was like 2018.
So this has everything to do with The Rock and nothing to do with what you think about Johnny Depp.
No, I don't like it. Like if it were up to me, they just would make
like,
another one of these movies.
Johnny Depp kind of narrowed his range a little bit with like being known primarily for
quirky.
Jack Sparrow. And
well, also quirky.
Being quirky, yeah. Like the quirky lead.
Sweeney Todd.
When like
Edward Scissorhands.
Something like Gilbert Grape, is like way different, but earlier in his career, and he kind of hampered himself, his like potential.
I think he saw himself as like an avant-garde version of Hollywood while being mainstream. Like, I think he sees himself that way. Kind of the way Halsey sees herself as avant-garde, even though she's extremely mainstream as far as music goes.
I'd like to see Johnny in like a straight edge character role now, like a large role in a movie where he's just like a really normal guy, because he's got a solid acting skill. Like, he's based as an actor.
No, he's got a lot. I watched not Usual Suspects. The one with him where he plays it's gonna slip my mind now, but it was like not too long ago. Not somebody know what I'm talking about? The one where he plays the bank robber, the famous bank robber. Not Donnie Brasco. Donnie Brasco's good too, though.
Someone said The Rock is a big beefy guy. Captain Jack is a wily, mercurial type. Totally agree. And Jack Sparrow is like one of the last male leads that can be flamboyant and still not maybe not straight, but it's just like you don't think about his sexuality.
Yeah, it's not relevant.
Like, that's lost on us now.
Dwayne is a pirate, but I don't know if he has to be Jack Sparrow. He could be a different pirate. I think. Oh, is it Public Enemies?
Public Enemies. That's what I was thinking. Not Black Mass. Public Enemies, which nobody liked but me. Like a lot of people didn't like that movie but me. But it's got Rory Cochrane in it. It's really good.
A Michael Mann movie.
Well, that's why I liked it, because it's a Michael Mann movie, and I'm a bit of a simp for most of Michael Mann's works. But like Johnny Depp has that ability to slip in and out of characters most of the time, and I think he just has charm, and that charm works for him. I don't know if The Rock's type of charm is being adequately used in Hollywood. I think he should be doing the roles where he plays the tough guy.
Dude, I would love to see him in like a Schwarzenegger Predator type role where he gets hurt, where he's like either like a heroin addict or something. Like, he's got some sort of horrible problem, but then he overcomes it in the movie and ends up having to like destroy some evil or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, in Black Adam, he was a tough guy, but he just didn't have really any motivations or not even vulnerability. He didn't make sense. His thought process didn't exist.
No Never says, I like Dwayne in Ballers until it got political. Yes, Ballers was one of the early things that got ruined by TDS. But those early seasons of Ballers are really, really good and kind of show you where Hollywood could be right now if they hadn't gotten
definitely can't make a male version of Eat, Pray, Love.
I don't think so.
No.
So beyond this, guys, we've got this announcement, and I'm sure everyone's clamoring for this one, which is that they're talking about a Macaulay Culkin return to Home Alone. Remember,
where he plays the head of a top security, like home security company. I would love if he's just like, he invented Ring.
It's so on the nose. Like, it's so on the nose.
Macaulay Culkin becomes a billionaire for inventing Ring.
So he can finally pay his dad back for all those for that hotel bill.
Was Ring actually like what was that called? That show, Shark
Tank?
Shark Tank.
I don't know if that was a Shark Tank product. That's an interesting question.
Seems like it was.
Could be.
I think it might have been,
But
Shark Tank's $1 billion
So like Macaulay Culkin goes on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
And becomes a billionaire.
See, I'm I'm one of the few people in the world that likes Home Alone 3. Scarlett Johansson's film debut. Home Alone 3, the one without Macaulay Culkin.
No, it's a big no for me.
The one that came out in 2020 is bad. Like, really, really,
I haven't seen that.
Bad.
Is that Home Alone 4?
No, it was called like Home Sweet Home Alone. And it was not.
That's
it was a Disney Plus only, and it was not good at all. So this is
something we just didn't need.
Yeah. So beyond
this, if rebooting the Home Alone franchise has failed twice already, from most people's opinion, not yours, Brett, then I think we should just stop.
Well, I liked the idea originally of doing him where they pretend like he's still 11, but they don't acknowledge the fact that he's just 40 years old.
By the way, didn't they cut Trump's cameo from the second movie?
The Canadian version, when you watch that movie in Canada over the holidays, the Canadians cut out the Donald Trump cameo from the movie.
Oh.
Because American politics were apparently so offensive to Canadians, that they got rid of Donald Trump's like 5-second cameo.
I'm so with you that if they did a Home Alone movie, whatever they call it, with Macaulay, is like just a dude living in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's like lives alone,
He's like SpongeBob SquarePants.
Actually, that would be really funny considering how big abnormally huge that house was in the first Home Alone. Like,
it wasn't abnormal. They had a lot of siblings, right?
That, like, a lot of those were extended family. Like, it was extended family in from out of town. He sleeps in the creepy attic with like the and maybe what they can do is Buzz can come in and be the bad guy. Maybe Buzz's life doesn't work out quite the way he wanted it to. He didn't get to meet that French girl that he wanted to meet in the first one, and so he's all bitter. And he comes back to take to take Kevin McAllister out. Also, like, there's a fantastic meme that says, "I'd like to remind everyone that Kevin McAllister is a conservative," and it shows him with the airsoft gun or with the pellet gun.
In his McMansion.
Yeah, and he goes, "It's my home. I have to protect it."
I think when you're making like old IP and you're making new movies with old IP, like using a name from a movie from the 90s on a new movie, you should, instead of trying to make it like the old movie, you should make a completely new movie. Like Macaulay Culkin, he's 45 or 42, living alone, having relationships where he's a garbage man, and like it's about, like, it could be even like a bank heist movie, you know, it could be about a cool plot about him with some sort of relationship, not being alone, you know, finding love, but like not about, oops, I left a kid at home again.
He left himself at home again, and he's got to get himself. And like, they could bring Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern are still alive. Bring them back.
Daniel Stern is so good. Yeah, they're both so good.
We could bring both of them back for this movie. They need to do that. So I'm here for it. Like, I say just make it, but just don't expect it to be good. Right? Like, we just don't expect it to be good. We also got a couple of Marvel announcements, which are to me, because take that. So they have delayed both the Marvels till November 10th. It's no longer getting a summer release like they thought it was. And also they're supposedly putting Ironheart and Echo on the shelf indefinitely. There will be no updates for them. Believe it or not, nobody cared about Ironheart
and
or
nobody
Echo.
cared about the non-binary actor who was finally going to get the spotlight in Ironheart either.
It does speak maybe to a little bit of like the struggle that Marvel's going through right now. Pre-sale tickets weren't as good for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania as they wanted it to be. They made $17 million in pre-sales last night, which isn't really a whole lot for a Marvel movie.
They got to make a Silver Surfer movie.
I saw some people posting pictures from theaters about to watch Quantumania, and it's just like sparse or empty.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes with this, but they're going to cut back on their programming for their TV shows, and they're only going to be releasing a couple a year now, which is probably a good idea considering it's an overabundance of content most of the time.
I'm gonna just say Quantumania is terrible branding.
But it has the words Ant-Man in it.
I didn't even know.
Ant.
Yes, it does.
Huh?
The funny thing about that is they didn't even do. I didn't see any. I don't know if maybe somebody else saw it and I didn't, but I didn't see them like highlight the letters.
I think they did it in their Twitter bio.
Okay, remember when they did that with Her Story for the trailer for Captain Marvel? They put like her story, like history. And they're like, you just know some intern was like, this is so clever.
Honestly, it should be called Quantum Mania. If they really wanted to sell tickets, they should have made 2 words, Quantum Mania.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be big in China because Chinese people love straight cis white males.
Probably. This is the first Marvel release in China since the release of Avengers Endgame. So we'll see where it goes. But we also have Cringe of the Day, Mary.
Yeah, we do.
It's more. I think it's scary.
Speaking of China,
I don't think it's cringy. I think it's scary.
Fright of the day.
Yeah, fright of the day. So here it is. It's up there.
Up on the monitor.
Up on the monitor. You can see it there.
I've seen other videos like this.
We saw the one where they're like in cages.
Not in cages. Just a bunch of influencers concentrated in one place with sets and ring lights. And this is supposedly in China. I don't know. But it looks like it's all uniformly set up. Yeah. And it was funded by a corporation of some kind. And but then other times I've seen these similar videos and they say, oh, it's just like people that rent out these spaces to make content. And it's a private business that rents out like ring lights and other equipment. But this doesn't look like that. And why are they outdoors?
Yeah, like
what if it rains?
It actually looks like it's like musty out right over there, right? So
looks
are they?
gross.
And they're like by a bridge. Is there like
they're on a freaking bridge?
It's like those like all those businesses in China that have to put down the Minecraft nets to keep you from Minecrafting yourself.
Well, somebody commented saying that they are all together live streaming on TikTok because it's like a live stream farm where if they're all within the same geolocation, it gives them boosts for more like views and donations in the algorithm.
That's smart.
I don't know why that even is implemented in the algorithm. Like, why should you live stream near other people who are live streaming?
Yeah.
They probably want to consolidate people. They want to keep people concentrated in an area so they can control them easier. That's my deep, sinister
And
look
what
at
are
it.
they live streaming about? Like,
like I saw
going on?
one of them had a box in front of him, so it looked like an unboxing video on a bridge somewhere.
yeah, like what's
What is it exactly?
I don't know.
Dude, also-
I can't find the real context, and there's no context note from Twitter. So
I'm also picturing like you hear this person, I guess influencer that you follow talking, and you faintly hear in the background another influencer that you follow talking because they're sitting right next to them.
And their cameras are pointed in such a way that you can see the person behind them.
Yeah, it feels fake.
It's like an infinity mirror of influencers.
Like, hey, that was the one out of all the people that got offed in Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. The one that I was happiest about was the vapid social media influencer lady that was really, really hot.
If you could show someone this video who lived like 100 years ago, what would they say?
Oh yeah, I mean, even your phone. Like even like imagine like you got sent back in time and you like took out your phone and just started typing on it. You'd look insane.
Yeah.
You'd look at, or like taking a picture with your phone back in the day. People are like, where's that flash coming from?
I just saw this video posted to Twitter that showed like, it said like Shakira sees a picture phone for the first time and reacts, and she's like, oh no, the paparazzi are gonna start using this to like surreptitiously take pictures of me.
Yeah.
And it's like, the tagline was like, Shakira predicts the dystopian future of big tech or something, but no, then they put like the X-Files theme over it. Yeah.
I used to have a camera where
it is sinister though.
you'd have to buy a flash, and they were like these big long rectangles of like bulbs in the flag. You'd have like 12 bulbs per rectangle, and then you'd stick the rectangle on the top of the camera. And every time you take the picture, it would blow out one of the bulbs to get a flash. So you only had 12 photos you could take.
Yeah.
12 flashes.
And like the flash gets progressively worse every time.
It would just, it would be the same flash, but you'd only have 12 shots.
Oh, only one would go
it would
off.
destroy a bulb
all
every
right.
time you would take one.
That's insane.
And then, I know.
That's
It was
insane.
like they worked with film that was like $10,000 a minute or whatever the hell the cost was. You know, photography was so expensive.
I mean, when you really think of it, my first like not my first real job. My first real job was pushing carts, which is why I was so bitter about Mary never putting her cart back. I'm kidding. But my second real job was I worked at a photo lab, and most of that job was developing developing like instant cameras. Right? So at that time, you didn't really have phones that had really good cameras. People brought in their digital cameras with their SD card or their micro SD card. But otherwise, it was disposable cameras. Now, disposable cameras are used as like avant-garde in the same way that they do with Polaroids. Right? Like Polaroids here.
Yeah, we have a Polaroid because it's old, because it's like vintage or retro.
Yeah. Like, and like you can actually see the difference between how they take the photos. My favorite are Surge's because they're all out of focus.
Yeah.
He
says it's an artistic decision.
choice.
It's on purpose.
It's good. I like it. So like this is a creepy thing. Like you could, if a phone scares somebody from 100 years ago and you looked at that, you'd have no idea what the hell you were looking at. The lights don't even look like something you would understand 100 years ago.
Yeah.
The ring
and
light?
Imagine if you tried to explain it. You would just seem insane. Okay, how far back could you go? Maybe if you showed this to somebody in like the 80s.
I mean, I don't even know if they would.
Then you tried to explain it?
I mean, even the 90s, would they really understand? Like, people didn't really get internet on phones and outside of their house until the mid-2000s. Like,
it's just varying degrees of like how schizophrenic you seem to the person you're explaining it to.
I was just talking
decades go back.
I was just talking to someone the other day about like how there was a weird shift in our culture when the iPhone came out, right? And then for a while, what it was is you would pay for your minutes and your texts, and at that time, like your Wi-Fi, or I'm not sorry, but like your data was so rare, like it was so unimportant back then because people just didn't have like mobile apps in the same way. So you got unlimited data, but you paid for your minutes and your text. And then there was like overnight a switch where now you got your minutes and your text for free because nobody uses their minutes and their texts anyways. And you had to start paying for your data. And there was like a 3 or 4 year period where you were like, all the phone plans were crappy and you'd have to get like a certain amount of gigs per month and then just like obsessively.
What years were those?
Oh gosh, 2008 or I'm sorry, like 2010 to maybe 2014.
Yep.
When they started bringing back like all-inclusive plans.
2007 is like what iPhone was, 06?
The 3G.
And it was free data. That was crazy. You could walk around and stream videos on the street.
It was slow, but like you could get on your Facebook. There wasn't an app though. You'd have to go to like the website and go on.
It really didn't work. I would try to upload videos, YouTube videos from the street, and I couldn't. Yeah. It wouldn't work.
It was a different time back then, all of like 10 years ago. Like not even 10 years ago. Right?
Yeah, yeah. And then they're like, "Oh, this is costing us way too much. We need to start charging for data."
It'd be like 15 years ago. So because 2007, we're talking like not quite
17 years ago.
Yeah. Well, it's 2023 now. So so crazy how things like I had like the iPhone the 3. And then the 4 was like a huge upgrade.
Yeah, the 3G was the big upgrade. I got the first iPhone, and then the 3G was huge. But that's when they started charging for data.
I also look at that thing now, and you look at that thing, and the camera's like this big. And it's like, it's just the one little sad camera at the top, and now all your phone is basically on the back. It's just a bunch of cameras.
Yeah.
Like that's, like here's the thing to ask you. Do you feel like a weird sense of like, when I see somebody with a phone that's not brand new, I'm like, those are my people. Like when I see like if I see a girl who doesn't have like an iPhone 13 or 14, I'm like, good for them. Like for not having. I've
decided I'm sticking with an iPhone 8 until they, due to planned obsolescence, make it unusable, as in like you can't use data on it.
Yeah.
Because that happened to my last phone.
What was it before
I think it was like a 6.
That's what happened with my 5.
They just, they just implemented changes to intentionally make it unusable, and then I had to switch. So, like, even if you replace the lithium battery, it won't charge. Like, they're just like, F you, you can't use the phone. So, until that happens to my iPhone 8, I will be sticking with it. But I guess when I change it, I'll get like the iPhone 13 mini. The mini one,
the small one,
because I hate how large all of these phones are getting. It's like so derpy to like walk around with this giant ass flat screen TV that you're supposed to go like have phone calls on. You can barely hold it up. You're like, hello.
Have I ever told you the story? When I lived in Minneapolis, I'd go to this pizza place like once a day to get lunch, and there was a guy who'd be there every day, and he had his tablet had the phone on it. So he'd talk on his tablet.
Whoa.
And I was just like, dude.
You just look dumb.
You just look stupid. And you know it's totally like, because we're in Uptown and he's got to be hip. So he's like, it's not enough to just have an iPhone. He has to have like an iPad phone. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting a mini. That's a good idea. Because I don't want to go any bigger.
I think the mini is probably bigger than the iPhone 8. Which sucks. But if I don't have to carry around a flat screen TV, then I'll do it.
All right, guys, we're going to get started. So before we do, could you guys hit the like button, please? Subscribe to this channel. And if you are watching for the first time and you see down there, that is the crisis meter. Every time you super chat in a question for Ian, Mary, or myself, it adds to the crisis meter and money gets shot at Ian. And you saw it.
It doesn't have to be a question.
It doesn't have to be a question.
It can be an opinion.
But also, like, you saw the bill that came in, went right in Ian's drink. That's what you're shooting at when you do that. So every time you donate, it goes right to the crisis meter, and that's what happens. So, all right. So Keanu Reeves says deepfake digital face edits, artificial intelligence are a system of control and manipulation. He has got a clause in his contracts when he acts that says that they cannot make alterations to him with CGI.
He said this happened to him before, where in one scene he watched of himself, they edited a tear to fall down from his eye, and he's like, why am I even hired then? I'm supposed to be acting, I'm supposed to be emoting, and you're editing the emotions onto me without even asking.
Yeah, well, it's like, I'm picturing just like how many movies they've just added a single tear to somebody's
you
face
never know.
Down. You'll
you
never
know if they have.
My favorite is CGI.
I'm gonna need an itemized list of everything that they faked in a movie.
I wonder if he doesn't allow CGI breath. That's a thing too. Like a lot of times, if they're not someplace cold enough, they have to add CGI breath. Which
that's different though. The tear is literally editing your acting skills. So the breath is like part of the set.
What if they're like CGI rain? Are they allowed to edit CGI rain hitting his skin? Or do they have to?
The environment, I think, is more excusable. But if you're editing his facial expressions, that's maybe going too far.
Ooh, I'd like to find out where that line gets drawn.
So here's what he says. He says, what's frustrating about deepfakes is you lose your agency, Reeves told Wired in a recent interview. When you give a performance in a film, you know you're going to be edited, but your participation in that, if you go into deepfake land, it has none of your points of view. That's scary. He's right. Like, there are scenes where they add, like they make somebody's face look different, where they widen a smile, or they can remove smiles, they can add blinking, they can make eyes closed. One of the most common ways they do this, when they have human beings who have to fake being dead, they CGI the eyes open.
Oh, really?
So that they don't see the blinking, or so you don't see the eyes fluttering.
Oh, you mean okay, yeah, they're blinking, or if they're breathing, you stop the
you stop the stomach from doing it. Like, but it's like a lot of times, because if it's a death scene and they die with their eyes open, they have to sit there with their eyes open for a long period of time. They have to CGI the eyes from not moving or fluttering. That's a very, very common thing to do. That's obviously, I don't think that's what he's talking about here. He's like, I like the idea that he's like a hardcore. He's like, no, I can hold my eyes open for as long as I need to.
Yeah, he said what's frustrating about that is you lose your agency. When you give a performance in a film, you know you're going to be edited, but you're participating in that. If you go into deepfake land, it has none of your points of view. That's scary. It's going to be interesting to see how humans deal with these technologies. They're having such cultural, sociological impacts, and the species is being studied. There's so much data on behaviors now. And he talked about this conversation he had with a young Zoomer recently about the Matrix.
I bet you this scared the crap out of
this
Keanu
is funny.
Reeves. Like good guy Greg, Keanu Reeves was probably scared.
I mean, I would love to know who this 15-year-old is. Maybe it's just like his nephew or something. Yeah. And he explained that his character Neo was fighting for what's real, fighting for reality. And this 15-year-old scoffed at him and said, "Who cares if it's real?"
That's scary.
And I have to say, like, that's a believable interaction. Honestly, I don't think he's exaggerating at all.
No.
That is something totally believable that a young person would say now, because so much of a 15-year-old's experience now, unless they're being shielded purposefully from the way things are by their parents, it is artificial and digital.
On screens.
And it's equally important to them.
They call it deep fake, but eventually I think they're going to start calling it deep reality, where it's all, anything you want to be real can seem real, but it's not bound by physics. Like, it's almost like I was tweeting this last night trying to visualize, and I was like, I think we have, in our dreams, we have resistance to the physical, to the laws of physics. Not that they aren't there, but we are able to resist them. And in deep reality, you're also able to resist physics, the laws of physics. But in real life, you know, you don't have much resistance. You have some resistance to the laws of physics. Yeah. We bend them slightly over time, and then we learn more and change them, and we're able to bypass. But I think it's, you know, that resistance is important. Like, you need to be able to. Well, I mean, the resistance of physics is important to grow. If you don't have the resistance pushing back on you and giving you limitations, there's no reason to try and overcome them.
Yeah.
That's the danger of deep reality.
But also this, like, as an actor, you would understand that, like, look, actors get very specific about their performances. What an actor sees, it's kind of like when we talk about inside baseball. Like, what an actor likes about a performance is oftentimes very, very different from what the audience likes about a performance. So they could go through and make small changes to things that you loved about your performance, and then you'll have no say in the matter because you've signed yourself over contractually to this project. So oddly enough, it's the only people who are going to be able to be resistant to things like this are somebody of his stature who has the bargaining power in the industry to put this in a contract. I guarantee you there is not a single Marvel actor that can do that. Even the big name ones. Marvel gets the final say so. We talked about it the other day, and like they give up total creative control of themselves to these projects.
It does seem like a lot of these actors and actresses getting basically like poached and captured by Marvel are selling their souls. Mm-hmm. Like, when I see Natalie Portman in a Marvel movie, I don't know how to feel about that.
Black Swan was so long ago.
Even Paul Rudd, like they're honestly like poaching actors with genuine talent and cheapening them.
The perpetuity stuff where they're like, we own your digital likeness forever in every dimension here to forthwith can be, we might be able to go back and say those contracts, all those Marvel actors, all those people that signed perpetuity clauses of their digital rights, that they're going to be deepfaked by Marvel to be saying that they love cows or whatever. we might be able to retroactively release those contracts, people from those contracts, and say they didn't understand what they were signing at the time because the technology changed. The words actually mean different things now.
Well, they've been trying to do that with the Second Amendment for like...
Dude, I'm so glad Keanu Reeves spoke up. This is the first time I've seen a really famous actor talk about this. I've been talking about this with Tim for a long time. We decided, Tim and I, that we're not going to create perpetuity clauses for digital rights because we're an entertainment industry. You don't put people in a digital servitude slavery. And I think Keanu working on Cyberpunk, the video game, he was face to face with digital translation of his face. So he knows what they can do to make it look like he's saying and doing things that he's not saying and doing. Yep. I love this guy. I love him. I've met him once. I served him food at a restaurant I used to work at in LA. Nice. He's great, man, dude.
Is he the nice guy that
he's super
everyone
cool.
says he is?
See?
Super chill.
My faith is restored.
Look, I mean, I don't... The thing about Keanu Reeves is like, everything I don't like about him is imposed by other people, not him. So I don't dislike him at all. It's the whole like he's just a good human and a small bean. That's what I dislike.
I think of it more as like it's my ability to trust my own judgment. Like I can look at 30 actors where you hear the good guy Greg stories about what a nice person they are, and I would hope that you could pick out which ones feel like it's being served to you by a production.
I don't care if they're good people.
By a production house?
I just care what they do publicly.
Yeah, I don't know him. I should say clearly. I met him once. I really don't know anything about his personality, but I really liked his energy when I met him, and I really love what I see from him in the media.
So it seems like he's equally impassioned about deepfakes and AI and NFTs. Like you, actually.
I love the idea of him just deep diving on the web at like 2 a.m. Like that's what he's doing. He's just hitting
he goes off here. He said a lot about it. In regard to digital art being made by AI, he said, it's cool, like, look what the cute machines can make, but there's a corporatocracy behind it that's looking to control those things. Culturally, socially, we're going to have to be confronted by the value of real or the non-value. And then what's going to be pushed on us? What's going to be presented to us? It's this sensorium, it's spectacle, and it's a system of control and manipulation. We're on our knees looking at cave walls and seeing the projections, and we're not having the chance to look behind us.
Well, some of us are looking behind. Keanu, we got you.
I feel like he was probably like the happiest he's been in like 6 months having this conversation.
Like, it's fun. I got asked the question that I wanted to be asked.
He's like, I don't care about John Wick right now. I want to talk about deepfakes and I want to talk about AI.
Dude, that's wild that he did The Matrix and then he became like red-pilled. Like he truly like art imitates life or life imitates art. I find that I was doing a character on Cast Castle where I was kind of channeling Steven Crowder the last couple of days, and in the middle of the shoot I just like lost it and I slammed the table and I was like, Gah! Really angry. And there is a chance that you can become like the character you're attempting to portray. So I love that he's like truly red-pilled.
Maybe that's why all the lazy actors today just want all the characters to be like who they are in real life so that they don't have to change.
Yeah, it hurts, man, to act like a thing you don't agree with. It is a sort of like spiritual pain. What were we talking about recently where I brought up we were just talking about like how often do these times like, we were talking about so like the people who didn't want to go home or somebody left their husband or something because they portrayed a character.
Wait,
something.
What?
I'll have to think about it. Like
Penn Badgley?
Was it Penn or no? Yeah, I mean we kind of included it in that conversation, but like the idea that like we were talking about people who are simulating sex on camera and then having to go home and be married, and you were making the argument that like you understood where they're coming from, why that would make them uncomfortable, right? And I was like, well, like, what if we took that beyond the idea of just intimacy? I was like, what if like a super far left person had to play like a right wing person on like a TV show?
Well, now that is already frowned upon because we talked about that screenwriter who wrote a racist character and was then, shamed out of the room because you have to be racist in order to even imagine a fictional racist person.
But well, I mean, that's kind of goes to what we were talking about the other day. It's like they write characters. Maybe they don't write characters as like these weird stereotypes because they're bad writers, but because they're scared that the other writers are going to yell at them if they write it with too much nuance. Like if they write the character with too much nuance, they'll be like, "Ooh, that seems like you know a little bit too much about that. You shouldn't write." It
sounded like the guy had written a very one-dimensional racist character, and they didn't care. It was just the fact that it addressed that issue at all that was the problem.
Did you guys ever see Blazing Saddles, Mel Brooks movie from
I haven't.
Early 80s, I think.
I saw Whoopi Goldberg crusading for it, actually.
Oh, for Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, she was like...
it would be canceled today.
Well, possibly. It was like... You would say there's a lot of racism. The idea the movie is about a black dude who it's like 1860 and he goes through this like town in the old west and like the Wild West and becomes the new mayor, but it's a bunch of racist white people. But the racist white people are written to be idiots in the movie. Like they are so stupidly racist, and you see the stupidity of racism that comes out in it. So as long as you don't write the racism to be heroic, I think that you can certainly write racist characters into movies.
Here's the problem, though. They write those characters. That was written at a time where that would have been the norm. Now they're still writing the characters like that about people living in 2023, and that's not the world we live in anymore. So it's weird to see a character written who's supposed to be existing in the year 2023 in Los Angeles, written as if he's in the Deep South in the 1800s.
I'm going to bring up The Walking Dead again because of Merle and Daryl. How they introduced Merle as this raging racist, and he is pretty like one-dimensionally a bad person. Daryl is a little more nuanced, but they both express, at the very least, racially insensitive views. Merle legit just like says the N-word and like is a racist. But like you still explore those characters as actual individuals, and you come to love Daryl. Daryl's like I think maybe the most popular character in the series, and like his relationship with his brother is explored further as well, and it was because it was made in a more sane time. But like, yeah, even then, I don't know if there is a guy like Merle in 2010 living in Georgia, near Atlanta.
I'll give you another example. There was a show called Justified, which took place in Kentucky. And if they had made this show even 5 years later, and they're making a TV movie version, like continuation, it's based on an Elmore Leonard book series about Raylan Givens, and it takes place in Kentucky, and there are calls to racism, aspects of it that are somewhat shown, but all the characters are so deeply complex and three-dimensional. Like even the buffoonish bad guys are seen as like actual people. Like they're buffoonish and bad, but they're also the product of living in an environment that's had it out for them from the start, right? They're in this area where there's no public funding. The world seems to have forgotten about them. There's a lot of desperation there, and most of the characters. There's a deputy in the show played by Erica Tizell, who she calls back to the idea of racism from time to time, but it never becomes all she talks about. If anything, she's underused in the show, and they don't make sure, like, she's not just the character you go to when you need to talk about these issues, right? If anything, they go to her in spite of that. And I just don't think you would be able to do that even 5 years later. Like, it would have never been made in the same way, and I'm terrified to see where the continuation is going to go.
To reel it back to the discussion about deepfakes and, like, digital altering of media, I wanted to read this quote from the director of John Wick 4. He said, "We're not anti-VFX. Our problem comes when you use it in place of being creative."
Yep.
And I think he's subtly throwing shade at basically Marvel, but a lot of movies right now.
Not entirely. I mean, kind of, but the John Wick franchise made its bones by being about practical effects for the most part. Like the very first one, like the type of cinematography and gun shootouts that they used in those movies, which became their signature and ushered in a new era in Hollywood that got rid of the shaky cam and the jump cut, was literally because the first movie was made on such a small budget that they couldn't afford second cameras to do mid-level shots or close-ups. So they had
the whole room.
Yeah, so like when you see him take a headshot from like usually ridiculously far distances, that's my favorite part. Like, oh no!
Is the crisis sound not on?
Oh, snap.
We always miss something.
My fault.
Gentlemen.
My fault.
But thank you guys.
Can you hear the noise?
That they did a lot of practical effects and a lot of use of squibs rather than digital blood. I mean, there's still a lot of, if you go and look
Love
at
that
the
word, by the way, squibs.
Yeah.
If you go and you look at the making of the movies farther on, they do a lot of CGI in the John Wick movies, usually involving the cars and the horses. Like anytime you see the horse kick the dude, those are my favorite scenes in those movies. It's the car violence, not just the gun violence. By the way, John Wick is a superhero. He gets hit by a car head on a statistically improbable amount of times in those movies. Like even the end of the trailer for the fourth one is him getting hit by a car again. So, but they made their bones on practical effects. And like we always talk about with Marvel, you are more likely to stay engaged if it's practical effects.
For sure. I was thinking that last night, man. That's why C-3PO is such an endearing character in Star Wars, and I think why the series has gone downhill since Return of the Jedi, and why they kept C-3PO as a dude in a metal costume, because you see the humanity in the character. Like, even though it's awkward and it's obvious that he's wearing a piece of plastic metal, it's still, you see the consciousness, and it's so much better than a freaking cartoon, man.
Even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, the original one, the first three were all done with Jim Henson's Creature Shop, which were actual, those are actual entities that you're on screen with. It's not CGI characters. I tried to watch the Michael Bay ones, and as much of a stan for Michael Bay as I may be, and as hot as Megan Fox is, it's just didn't work. Didn't do
it for you.
Didn't do it for me.
Guardians of the Galaxy is another one. It's just obviously heavily CGI, if not all CGI, and yet I'm supposed to feel strongly about the characters I'm watching, and I don't register them as persons.
Yep.
Because it's just, the brain is always going to know the difference between real and fake, no matter how good deepfakes get or how good AI gets. The brain is still more powerful.
Yep.
And those little calculations it makes can never be like fully duped.
Even Avatar 2, like it's the hand motions that are the fakest to me. It's like when they're trying to simulate, it's not them.
Well, they also have like 3 fingers, right?
Like, but it's the way the arms move.
Yeah.
Like it's just not.
Well, they're very spindly as well.
Yeah.
I feel like Avatar, not avatars, but the Na'vi would be terrifying in real life.
Oh yeah.
Like they look like insects almost.
Yeah.
They're so skinny and spindly and tall.
You're right about the brain being able to discern the difference, because like realistically we have trillions of bacteria growing and living on our skin that the camera is picking up. It's just so small that the eyes don't necessarily perceive it, but our brains are perceiving it because it's there.
Yeah.
So in CG they don't have that.
Yeah.
It's just there's something.
It's the same way that your eye can't mimic, like a camera can't mimic light the same way your eye can, like with the iris on the camera doesn't do it the same way. So,
and like you can't comprehend the stillness of a dead person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's so funny too, because now I look for that stuff, and I look for like the lines where they do the CGI drawing for the eye, when they keep the eyes steady or keep the eyes from moving. But also I do live for like catching the stomach move. When they're doing that, like I do love that stuff.
I got my chops playing dead characters a lot in theater. Lots. I would lay like for 20 minutes on stage after a fight scene, just still. You have to learn how to breathe. I mean, just so micro.
Mostly
breaths.
with your lungs, not your diaphragm, right?
Actually, I think so. Yeah, it would be like a
top
tiny,
rather than in your stomach.
Yeah, you would learn. Actually, I don't remember. Maybe you could do both, but you do such a tiny inhale, and then I feel like you're drawing oxygen in through your skin anyway, that is converting it to carbon. So you breathe out more than you breathe in, basically.
Yeah.
There's hardly any motion.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
False God Dark Soul said, "Is Brett Sickle a psyop?"
Me? Why would I be a psyop? I'm not a psyop.
Yeah, you do breathe into your chest in death scenes for sure. Now that I'm thinking about it, I was just testing it. It's like right here.
Potatoes for Seamus said, "All hail our dear graphene Lord Ian. Love ya, man."
Yo, what's happening?
Marco sent us a thumbs up. Thank you. Johnny Beck did as well.
Johnny.
Goofer Trooper said, "What a great Sunday to see Ian on PCC. Let's go."
The gaslighting is real on this show. They live to gaslight.
Caper2X said, "What's the air quality, Brett? Protect Ian at all costs. How do you marry popcorn overdose or soda burps? Waiting for your enthusiastic Q review."
Okay.
Make mine Marvel.
I have another funny story about last night at Blood and Honey. So when we got in and Mary was eating her food,
as usual,
a worker came in to like watch the movie, and I like angled my body so that he couldn't see her eating.
I was like wondering, do they usually do that in the first 10 minutes of a movie, or are they just following me around now? Am I getting targeted?
I think the guy just wanted to look at, he was a young kid. I think he wanted to look at the movie. I don't think he gave a crap about whether you were eating or not. But I didn't put my seat fully back until he left, because otherwise like you hear Mary's like loud container opening and her loud, like her plastic bag that just goes as she's opening it.
Yeah.
So like, and then you wonder why everything else that they give you there is styrofoam. It's for that reason, because it's quiet. But yeah, like this guy was definitely like, I don't think he was there for you, but I didn't want to encourage the idea of him just seeing you just eating sushi while we watched.
Well, I did see the same person who bothered me last time and avoided him.
That's good.
So we were good. Yash said, Rian with Ian was hilarious. You ever tried stand-up?
I did, actually, the New York Comedy Club in 2001 or 2002 or something like that. It was pretty fun. And then I just got into scripted stuff. And then once YouTube came out, I just went full into the digital space.
Would you do stand-up ever again?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I actually have a set that I've been working on. I don't want to... now's not the time.
No spoilers. Okay.
It's sexual.
Oh, okay.
All right.
But it's funny.
Alex making beds and writing novel on the side said, Ian, my man, never change. Ancient Romans ruled.
It's true. And, you know, I talk about a lot about the Roman Empire and how dirty but when you say Roman, there's a lot of different times that there were Romans. You know, Roman means a lot of different things over time.
Let's do one more, and then we'll move on.
Mr. Brightside said, watch Paul Rudd's COVID vax commercial. Horrific.
Ugh, I'm not watching that.
Have you ever seen this?
I've never seen that.
I didn't know he did one.
For market research.
It's, I mean, like I'm gonna be completely honest. Like, if I was these guys, and you just know the amount of money they offered him was absurd.
What do you think he got?
And if you're a studious businessman and you're like, even if I don't buy this and the public sentiment shifts later, I can always claim, like, did you see the article?
You know that Paul Rudd's gotten many
vaxxed many times over. Did you like, and you see that article that came out today? It says a new study finds that being like having COVID is just as good for you as getting the booster shot or getting vaccinated.
I want to flip a table right now.
No, every response was just people just like F you, like I hate you for even.
I think I might have natural immunity. Just because out of being built different, because I don't think I ever had it.
I'm built different.
Yeah.
You never had COVID?
I don't think I did, no.
Or
but
maybe,
if I did, I didn't know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Secondly, this is exciting. Chelsea Handler has doubled down pathetically about her child-free video after getting a bunch of backlash from the likes of Tucker Carlson, Jesse Kelly, Ben Shapiro, and some guy named Tim Pool.
No idea who that is.
I haven't heard of him before. Here's what Tucker Carlson said about her. She's an aging, deeply unlikable woman who never had kids. And Jesse Kelly said that Chelsea Handler's womb resembles a dried up tumbleweed blowing down an old Western town.
Ouch. That's not
and her Valentine's date for the 10th year in a row is a decade-old copy of Magic Mike and half-full bottle of Xanax.
I mean, maybe you give her the benefit of the doubt and say it's a bottle of wine. Instead, don't go straight to the Xanax.
But then in her response, she said, oh no, like I have way more Xanax than that. And she just went twice as hard with every stereotype of childless women.
Think she has a Pinterest?
No.
No. You don't think she Pinterest?
Pinterest is for happy women who don't have TikTok.
Fair point.
Yeah. Let's watch her video.
Is that in the
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
A day in the life of a childless woman. The point is to make you feel good about being an aging, deeply unlikable woman who never had kids.
Feminists like Chelsea Handler, they've been lied to by their society forever. That you could be a girl boss, you can do anything a man can do, which everyone who's ever seen a woman back up a vehicle knows that's not true. Your womb resembles a dried up tumbleweed blowing down an old Western town. And your Valentine's Day date for the 10th year in a row is a 10-year-old copy of Magic Mike.
I'm going to have to fact check that one. I don't know how long Magic Mike has been out.
Miserable. I mean, she is miserable, and it's written all over her face how miserable she is.
Hey, everyone. I woke up this morning, well, more like afternoon, And notice that there was an emergency society.
Speaking of that, I don't like her beanie.
I filmed about
not a good
kids.
color for her.
Wow. Why would I even need my own children when I get to hear these crybabies all the time? I mean, I can't believe that bearded version of Tucker Carlson thinks I would take half a bottle of Xanax. I take way more than that, you silly. Look, I don't want to debate whether or not I'm a girl boss, although I did my bank
the cope.
And then I thought about the 10 different people, plus 10 plus different people I've been able to college. And then I remembered my.
Wait, who'd she put through college if she doesn't have kids?
Random
I guess
people.
she just So she still has
celebrities do that a lot.
She has female intuition or
if you have as much money as her, you could do that while having kids as well.
Yeah.
Like her thing is she's listing all these accomplishments as if she couldn't have made them happen while having kids, and it's just simply not true.
Yeah.
I want to watch the rest of this though, because the ending is the worst.
Or was it 5? Oh no, it was 6. And then I remember my recent stand-up special that was just released on Netflix called Revolution, and I thought, yeah, you are a girl
Can't wait
boss.
to see that.
You guys seem so triggered by me. I mean, my goodness, Tucker. I think it is time for you to ask yourself a serious question. Are you really upset about how much freedom I have? Or are you upset that you haven't been able to take it away from me yet? Oh, and quick shout out to Ben Shapiro. Thank you for helping my cause of not having children. Who needs the birth control pill when your voice is 100% effective? I don't need a husband, Ben, because I'm in a relationship with myself.
I hate that. I hate that.
That's simply not a
Of
thing.
all of them, that's the one I hate. It's like I rail against the idea of like self-love.
And she
in our
doesn't even
society
say,
now.
I don't need a husband because I have other meaningful relationships in my life that make it worth living. No, it's just all about her.
And like using the money thing as like a cope, and it's like she would have been better off just not addressing any of this.
I mean, she would have been better off not making her skit in the first place.
Well, we can't go back.
It was
there.
a cope in the first place.
Like,
but
it feels like that's a huge part of our society now, is like convincing people to just like, instead of convincing people to get healthy, just put them on drugs. Instead of having families, which could make you happy, put them on drugs to be happy, or just convince people that you're happy alone.
I don't know where the suggestion comes from that people are trying to take her freedom away. Like, no one disputed that she should have the freedom of choice to not have kids.
Yeah.
They just said, the fact that you're making a video about this, belittling people who do become mothers and using that to aggrandize yourself makes it seem like you're coping for being deeply dissatisfied with your life.
I mean, that's a lot of TikTok, is people who make videos like, I mean, that's what I feel about most people, the clap back videos, when it's like, so-and-so person says this to me, and then it's their response. I'm like, nobody said that to you. And even if they did, you just by taking the time out of your day to respond, you're giving them what they want.
Yeah.
Like, even if...
well, she knew that this was going to get a big reaction.
Yeah.
That's why she did it. And I think she, at the same time, is attention seeking while also like genuinely showing.
And her Daily Show stuff is so bad.
She's also making the Daily Show even worse than it was when it had Trevor Noah.
She's like, I've never watched the State of the Union before because I have a life.
How did they come up with this list of guest hosts? Leslie Jones, Wanda Sykes, D.L. Hughley, Chelsea Handler, Sarah Silverman. I don't want to watch any of these people.
D.L. Hughley, I think, is kind of like, he's really just known as being kind of racist lately. Like, everything I ever see of D.L. Hughley, it's him talking about
it's
race.
more about accusing everybody else of being racist while being the racist yourself.
And Sarah Silverman hasn't ever been funny. Leslie Jones, not really.
I think he said Tucker Carlson is so obsessed with black people, you should call him sickle cell. Very obsessed with race.
How do you feel about like if somebody says something negative about you, do you think it's important to respond, or do you think it's important to just go on about your day?
No, it's definitely, I mean, listen to it, obviously, don't ignore it, but you kind of got to look at it like it's not personal. Like, if someone's yelling at me because they don't like me, something's going on with them, and I'm an object in their reality that they're like gauging their personality in relation to, but it's not really about me. I'm who I am. But it's also good feedback, because if like 80 or 90% of the people that respond to you are like, yo, you said this thing and that's wrong, you probably got to look at yourself and be like, maybe it's true.
Yeah.
If you get those one-offs of like, I can't stand this guy's such an idiot, That's more just like let people vent. Thank God they're even speaking it at all. It's better than, just miserable silent depression. So I kind of encourage it, but I usually respond to the positive stuff because it seems like people will give you more of what you respond to because they want a response.
Yeah. I never respond. Like, it's just one, because like I just don't have the attention span to sit there and respond to like 9,000 like in any way, shape, or form to people.
We're
who have
talking about
negative.
Like if you get negative feedback on things you're just doing in your existence, your daily life. That's one thing. Don't respond to that. But if you're actively spewing negativity into the world, like Chelsea Handler has, you deserve the backlash, yes. And if you're doubling down, you're only making the situation worse for yourself.
I've always liked, I don't really know much about Chelsea Handler, but I've always somewhat appreciated her comedy and like, whatever, she's who she is. And I think that if she doesn't want to have kids, she don't want to have kids, fine. But I think that people are concerned that she's inspiring young women to not have kids.
That's you were saying it more along the lines of that it's that she's like defensive about it. I'm more worried that she's going to make a whole another generation of girls think like okay, life's hard right now. I haven't found love yet. Maybe I'll just not have kids and just focus on my career. When I think like people are just giving up on that. We were just watching a video the other day where it's saying like it was talking about since Roe v. Wade got overturned, like what an enormous percentage of Gen Z is just not having sex altogether.
Chelsea Handler is one of those people who fear-mongered about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And
this is
the
what
whole like
is doing.
Stay away from my body Republicans thing. But Gen Z isn't abstaining from sex because of Roe v. Wade. I don't think anybody cared about Roe v. Wade.
Well, in
reality, other than the people who showed up and protested. But the thing is, they're abstaining from sex altogether because they are the ones that are hopping into bed on impulse with strangers are doing it to avoid intimacy. The ones who are abstaining from sex not because they have any moral reason for doing so are also avoiding intimacy. So Gen Z is just afraid of relationships. That's just a thing. Like if they come up with a reason that has political overtones, then they're lying. It's a big cope.
They might
for the
not
fact
even
that
be lying, but they might
it's a big cope for the fact that you've already resigned yourself to not being interested in sex or relationships in the first place.
Because they've been led down the path of doomerism anyways, where they think the world's going to come to an end in 12 years because celebrities like Chelsea Handler aren't just pushing this, they're pushing climate change and all of these other things through these programs, which has convinced them that the world has no point anymore. And that's a big part of what you were the one who pointed out to me, that you said you think of the number one thing about Gen Z is nihilism. There's a lot of nihilism there. Why be intimate if
Andrea Mew is in the chat. She said, how about Gen Z has low sex drives because of hormonal birth control and low T?
Well, the boys, I guess, like, what's the picture? It's like, boys, which way are you going to go? It's Jordan Peterson and Andrew Tate. It's like, which way do you go? And then a guy has to drink like a drink infused with like microplastics and seed oils and stuff like that. Like, we're kind of poisoned from birth here now in a lot of ways.
Do you think that the people want to avoid sadness?
Like, I don't know if I buy that. Like, I feel like that might be a millennial thing to avoid. Sadness.
Like, Chelsea's seeking happiness. A lot of this is like, look how happy. And happiness is just only relative to sadness. Like, you're not.
She's seeking novelty is what she's seeking. And no, Chelsea Handler does not have influence over any young people. Nobody thinks this chick is cool.
Yeah, but the message is
except for her fellow awfuls who are also in the like post-menopausal age, or like, I don't know.
But this message is not just being pushed by her. I mean, I see this message pushed a lot now. The idea of like not having kids because it's empowering.
I used to push it, but it was when I was nihilistic.
Yeah.
I used to be like, fuck it.
I think nihilism is the thing that connects all of this stuff. For her, it's even worse. I think it's less nihilism and it's more like cope mixed with financial gain, which sucks. But for a lot of this stuff, it bums me out because I miss the days when at least some of the media was a little bit aspirational. Like I made the joke recently where I said less songs about self-love and more songs about more 90s romance songs, like more R&B from the 90s,
like Heart-Shaped Box.
Yes. Okay. Well, I was thinking more like Boys to Men, but like I'm giving the extreme example of like where love was seen as something that was not just aspirational but also attainable in a way. Like people were looking to find that, and I just feel like people don't even try anymore.
It hurts. Like the vulnerability often leads to sadness in my experience, but it's not like that's the end of the world. You know, sadness hurts and it can last for decades. I mean, it can last your entire life if you're not smart about dealing with it. But I mean, without it, you don't know what happiness is.
And I agree in the chat. Joseph says, I think it's because of narcissism. And I think a lot of people these days are so self-obsessed, and it goes back to what I was saying there, that they don't necessarily even have the emotional bandwidth to care about another human being. And if they do, they'll just blame them for everything that goes wrong because they're so narcissistic.
Is, Gen Z doesn't have the attention span to pay attention to another human being.
Yeah. So it's self-love and
it's not even just emotional
span.
bandwidth. It's like I have the attention span of a goldfish or lower.
Yeah.
So I can't even make eye contact with somebody.
That's just, I mean, like, where do you think the fear of answering
people aren't
phones
even asking each other out on dates anymore. Like, we've gotten to this point.
That's propaganda. I mean, that's true, but I'm saying it's all the propaganda that has been spewed about people saying like, I asked somebody out on a date and got like accused of sexual harassment.
Well, there's that, but then when there's an actual threat of sexual harassment, like this video that went viral of this woman getting attacked in her gym, her apartment gym, when there's an actual threat of assault or sexual harassment, you're not allowed to respond because it's rude. But if you're getting asked out on a date innocently, that's harassment.
Yeah.
It's been totally reversed. All these women are either way too nice or way too mean.
There's an amazing like TikTok the other day of a lady. She's like, the barbell just hits her in the chest and she like can't get up. She's like, help, help. And the guys are like, I'm not looking. It's like they all put their hoods up and like look away. And he's like, did you hear something? I didn't hear anything. He's like, I gotta get out of here.
And it's not her like individual fault for the fact that the trend is, you know, men being afraid to talk to women.
Yeah.
Like she could literally die because other women ruin gender dynamics, and she had nothing to do with it. Like, that's wild.
And it goes to social media, which pushes these stories far and wide. They get tons of play because it's it's the story's not hyperbolic, it's what happened. But I'm saying it's the most extreme example of problems between the between the genders that people latch on to and they remember. I still remember Tim talking about the story about the guy attacking the girl in the subway and just nobody did anything about it because they were afraid of getting involved. Like, that story sticks with me, and it proves to you how powerful those stories are, and it probably does play a role in like the next generation of people just being too scared to move on or to ask people out and stuff like that.
You mentioning attention span, it makes me think of like diet, gut biome. You think that people are just born with like stripped out gut biomes because of like birth control in the water supply or something? Because like, that's my attention span is like if my gut's off, I can't focus.
Well, also
there are all these gay guys getting enemas and ruining their gut biomes, right? So they can't pay attention to another person for long enough to be in a monogamous relationship.
Fecal implants.
Oh my gosh.
Future. More fecal
Not where
implants.
I thought this was going.
When needed.
We went the wrong direction there, okay? But
we will always land
good point.
on fecal
good
implants.
point, though. Actually,
but yeah, that's scary. Like
fecal implants?
No, just that whole end of that conversation was scary.
You know, literally, fecal implants is like a life-saving technology. I don't know if you guys know, but they'll introduce bacteria via the feces into someone's butt, and it actually changes and can like.
Oh yeah, I've actually heard of that.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was common.
You learn something new every day, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's go to Super Chats.
RS Daggerchaff said The Rock as a pirate could be awesome, but just not as Jack Sparrow.
That's what I'm saying.
Agree.
Bert Fegg, MD, said Mary is the ethical, skeptical, anti-pentacle sentinel, highly vendable, and PCC's... I don't know how to say that.
I don't know what...
I don't think that's even a word.
Doesn't look like a word
How's
to
it
me.
spelled?
You can't tongue twist me, though.
PEDUNCLE.
Yeah.
Peduncle?
I don't know.
Pedophilic uncle?
Oh, no.
Not good.
I imagine
No.
that's
Not
what
good.
it is.
Matt's S-Box Emporium said, I am a gorilla.
Oh, yeah.
I believe you. You're valid, and I hear you and I see you. James Orenthal Wen said, FBF, Daniel Stern was Fred Savage. Oh, Flashback Friday. Was Fred Savage
voiceover
for Wonder Years?
Yep.
Yeah, he's the narrator.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
He's also Brigma in Rookie of the Year, the pitching coach who gets locked in the pitching in the cage in the final game. He's like, give me the ball. Yeah.
I always thought he was like one of the best actors in the world.
He's great.
I'm surprised he didn't do more. Was he just like super rich from Wonder Years, so he never had to work?
He like I don't know.
Was Wonder Years even big enough that you can like retire off of it?
Oh yeah.
I watched the whole thing.
That many episodes
on,
at
like,
that
Netflix.
level.
It was so popular. We would like scramble to get around the TV in the 80s. It was like 8:30, I think the show was on, or 8, and it was
the money.
My parents loved it. The kids loved it. Like all generations loved it at that time because they could identify with it.
And the amount of money they would make on residuals from that is mind-boggling.
Yeah, Fred Savage also. Like I haven't seen him in the industry. Maybe he just made.
One of them got arrested recently, and one of the other one's running for office. I don't remember if it was Fred Savage that got arrested or not. He didn't get arrested. He got Me Too'd, and then the other one's running for. And then either Ben Savage or Fred Savage is running for public office.
I need to stop watching YouTube. Said I've always related to Ant-Man.
In what way?
Why?
Because
it's Ben Savage running for Congress.
Okay, it's Ben Savage. Okay.
James Orenthal Wen said, "Under the Bridge, Chinatown, I streamed my life away."
It's a great song.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, "The only good thing about Home Alone was Missy Pyle."
Yep.
Also, Home Alone should start a Fast and Furious style franchise. By the 10th movie, they go to space. No.
Yes.
No.
Home Alone. Like
we're not doing this.
Maybe they're like in the 10th one. Elon is defending his home base.
Why
on
do you
Mars.
want to ruin everything that's good and wholesome in the world?
Like he's Kevin McAllister's cloned, and like his clone is gestated on Mars, and he's forgotten. And left.
Also, Missy Pyle. If it's the Missy Pyle I'm thinking of, the actress, she's.
I don't believe Winnie Cooper has an OnlyFans now. By the way,
I wouldn't doubt it.
I don't believe it. I think she's actually. She's on Hallmark. She's on like.
Well, maybe Hallmark has
wholesome Christmas movie. No, I think she's in Great American Family stuff. Actually,
even
that's what I remember.
Based.
If I'm wrong, tell me. Matt's SBox Emporium said, "Ian, how do you explain the videos of you and Roberto Jr. together in grade school? Rumor is Stop Big Cack is just a chicken wire hype campaign."
Stop Big Cack. I have no.
Who are the lobbyists for them? I
Big Rooster.
Yeah.
Alex making beds and writing novel on the side said, "Spending my Friday night creating a new D&D paladin."
Ooh, what's his stats or her stats?
His or her stats. Let's read one more and then we'll move on.
Perturbed Alpaca says, "Shout out to the ones who had hang up at 9 p.m. and call back to start those free night minutes on the landline."
Yeah, dude.
Now
we're talking 7. When it went to 7 p.m. with the original cell phones, and at least the ones in 2001.
Yeah, free nights.
Free nights and the weekends. But I couldn't. If I called before 7 or 9, I would be like $1 a minute. I'd call my parents in Ohio when I was in New York, and it was like spend like $13 to talk to them.
How does that work on like the time zones?
It was based on your time
zone.
It was like 8 o'clock, and then they changed it to 7 or 6 p.m., which was huge because I could talk to my family after 6 o'clock. And then that was such a wild time, man. You just lost touch with people when you left town back in the day.
Yeah.
Never saw them again, kind of thing.
Weird
Never
how that
heard from
works,
them
right?
again.
Yeah. There's like I get messages from people sometimes, like still from like my high school that like I kind of hate it when you get the messages like, "Hey, we went to high school together." I'm like, yeah, like only in the most vague sense of the word. Like I don't really remember you and you don't really remember me, but sure, send me this awkward message. Let's have a weird 5-minute catch up and then not talk together again for another 20 years. It's just uncomfortable. All right, we're moving on, guys. So there's some employees at Disney, about 2,300 of them, and they're whiny babies. They're whiny little babies.
That's very small.
Yes, it's a very small amount.
Are those just the employees that worked in the office before pandemic days?
These are this is a specific 2,300 of them that don't want to have to come back into the office.
They're just the whiny babies.
Yes.
So there are a lot more that have complied with the order.
Yes. So
okay.
So 2,300 Disney employees sign a petition against CEO Bob Iger, ordering them back to work, and it's the reason why that like it's really annoying. Like they blame COVID. They're like, "We don't want to come back for COVID." It says
that's like the only trauma you can use to not go to work.
Yes. So it says one unnamed employee likewise told the Washington Post too many employees adjusted really well to the flexibility at Disney that was rolled out during the pandemic. Well, guess what? It's not forever, my friend.
You know what?
Like,
I'm afraid of COVID now, and I'm going to
Work
only
from home.
appear on this podcast
Yeah.
via Zoom from now on.
I'm going to read you so it says, employees argued the policy change will lead to, quote, forced resignations amongst some of our most hard to replace talent in vulnerable communities while drastically reducing productivity, output, and efficiency. They also claimed, quote, this policy will slow or even reverse our post-COVID recovery and growth by creating critical resource shortages and causing irreplaceable institutional knowledge loss. Sounds like a threat to me a little bit. Like, so the idea is, like, I guess these employees are so invaluable that if they were to leave, that they're not replaceable.
Because they're working from home really in order to not work, which means that they are replaceable, if not completely disposable. They don't need to be replaced at all.
And I just, this reminds me of the Google employees who didn't want to have to come back to work, or I'm sorry, the Twitter employees that didn't want to have to come back and, my God, a 40-hour work week. What are we going to do when we have to work 40 whole hours a week? These have to be office jobs. Like, it's not the cast members at Disneyland that are going to be able to sign this, because they have to come in, right? They have to actually be there.
They also had to be there wearing masks all day in the hot sun.
Yep. And it's funny too, because I remember, like, when COVID first happened, they were holding food drives to, like, keep employees, like, to like leave, like, so that they could eat, while, like, the CEO got, like, a bunch of bonuses, got like a $20 million bonus, right?
Wow.
That's insane. Like,
you know, one of the things I'm thinking about is that the cost of commuting. So I could see them, like, requiring raises to have to drive, because especially with the cost of gas right now, I understand the financial burden of having to drive to an office. I cannot. I don't know if you guys have commuted much in your life. It's like,
oh yeah, I have.
The worst part of work, in my opinion. An hour there and an hour back is like,
you lose a lot of your day to it.
So much life to lose, and expensive, and it smells bad because you're on the road, at least in the cities. But it's weird.
That would be a valid complaint. They're just whining for the sake of whining because they've, quote, become attached to working from home.
Yeah, they just don't want to come in.
Which basically admits that they don't want to get dressed in the morning. Yeah. They don't want to brush their teeth. They just want to, get on pointless Zoom meetings all day that don't accomplish anything and then call themselves hard to replace.
So here's what Bob Iger's argument to the contrary was, right? Bob Iger says, wait, I had it right here. Where did I go? It says, as you've heard me say many times, creativity is the heart and soul of who we are and what we do at Disney. That's to be disputed, my friend. That was my input there. I added that. He said, he says, and in a creative business like ours, nothing can replace the ability to connect, observe, and create with peers that comes along with being physically together, nor the opportunity to grow professionally by learning from leaders and mentors. Wouldn't that be accurate, right? Like, you have to actually go into the office and actually, like, how hard would it be for me and you to do this job if we weren't in the same office?
Imagine if I only showed up here on Zoom.
Yeah.
It would be possible. There are people that do podcasts digitally all the time, but it wouldn't be nearly the same dynamic that we have with each other now. And it genuinely does, like, for a lot of jobs, make you worse at your job. Yeah. Maybe if you're like a software programmer, you can do that alone.
Yeah, but it's a solitary endeavor. Our job is literally requires, like, there are days.
Most of these people are, like, on Teams. Yeah. They are not the Microsoft platform, but I mean on Teams, people that need to communicate. Teams. And they've essentially turned into adult children.
Yes.
They're in adult daycare. They're getting paid to sit in their pajamas all day with devices that move their computer mouse around on an interval of 20 minutes.
Yeah. So they cannot wear pants on their Zoom meetings.
I mean, it's actually gross. It grosses me out. Do you know, like, in 2021, when people were still, like, working from home a lot, where, like, they started posting these drawings of, I think it was like a New York Times cover, where, like, this woman had, like, her work blouse on, and she was on a Zoom meeting, and she had, like, this whole background set up, so she looked like she was in a normal, like, work setting, and then below is just a bunch of trash on the floor, and she's wearing her underwear and hasn't shaved her legs in like months, and like her cat's over in the corner, and they're like a bunch of like used tampons and soda cans everywhere. Like that represents the life of these 2,300 Disney employees.
Yeah. And like the idea that
they're like doing Reimagine Tomorrow meetings where they're talking about how they have a not so secret gay agenda. I'm tired of these people. They're absolutely useless to society.
What are their roles, these 2,300 people?
Mostly email jobs, or they're working in teams that
I'd love to see their day in a life videos.
Yeah, I would too.
Like, honestly.
Iger further stressed tremendous value in being together with the people you work with, and that he believed, quote, working together more in person will benefit the company's creativity, culture, and our employees' careers. Like, you miss out on the opportunity to look, let's look at it from a selfish perspective, right? If you're an employee and you're looking to move up in the world, you lose out on the opportunity to make a good impression with your, with your boss in a setting outside of strictly just talking about whatever your work is, right? Like, whether it's water cooler talk or you have something in common, they see something on your desk and you have a conversation about it. A lot of that loses itself in translation when you try to do it digitally. But like you said, these are the people that want to tell you how to reorganize and run your life. Meanwhile, they want to do the bare minimum at their jobs.
Someone commented, well, Bob, you now have the list, so push the button. Meaning, you know who the problem people are.
Maybe that's what he was doing it for.
Can we just shave off the unnecessary chaff?
I like the idea that he's like one person went to him and was like, I don't really know if we need to come back into the office. And he's like, you know what you should do? You should see if you can get together a list of all the people that don't want to come into work, and
you just put targets on your own backs.
But he doesn't say that. He goes, and then we can talk about it later. We can have a discussion about whether we need to come back in the office. But really, it's just like a list to see who they can get rid of because they're just dead weight for the company, right?
I really despised when like the pandemic was first popping up and people posted memes that were like, I've been living this life at home this whole time. What happened? There's a pandemic? I didn't know.
That was my life too.
I don't leave my house or socialize. It's like, that's not something that you should be proud of, and it's certainly not something that the rest of society should be adapting to accommodate 3 years after it already happened.
It really was my life most of the time during the week. I mean, obviously on the weekends I went out and skated with friends, but during the week my job was mostly like, I interacted with a couple of people at work, but it was mostly I'd get home from work and I'd go skating. So I had it made. I got home from work and every business was empty and I could just go skate anywhere I wanted to and nobody would kick me out. And the cop comes up to you to kick you out. And you just cough and they stay away from you. Like you could do that. But it's 2023, dude. The pandemic started in like December of 2019. It's time to move on and it's time to go back to work. And it's not like Disney is doing so well that we can be like, you're not suffering. You're suffering plenty.
I'm interested to see if the weight of these 2,300 people signing a petition is going to get Bob to relent and let them work. Like, if they don't need to be in the office, why bring them into the office?
Well, then a bunch of other people will be like, well, why do I have to come in?
Right. Or if he'll fire them all and then hire 2,300 new people that have no problem coming into the office. I mean, there's not infinite amounts of people.
That's what Twitter did. Oh, there's infinite amounts of people for most of these jobs, I would bet. I would bet most of these are not specialized positions.
I'll do that. I'll get that, like, when I read comments on a YouTube video, I'll see like 800 comments and I'll start to read them and I'll be like, God, there's just comment. There's infinite. It feels like there's never. Yeah. And then I get to the end and I realize there are only so many people. Yeah. And you really should appreciate each one of them.
Of the comments?
Just humans, the comments in general. Each there are a finite amount of these things. There's a finite amount of time. There's a finite amount of all this stuff. So people are not expendable, literally.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that they can't be fired and rehire other people.
We still have to ask them to do more than just the bare minimum to get paid for their cushy jobs.
Precarious situations and they don't realize it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't realize the precarious position that society is in right now that will make their existence impossible. Like, it's untenable to keep these people in daycare forever. It's not going to work.
They will have to.
We have supply chain issues.
Yeah.
You know, like the food in grocery stores comes from places, like other places. It doesn't just appear there overnight.
Is it a problem of these companies just not knowing how to downsize properly, like an office space where they have to hire the consultant to bring them in to downsize? Like, they just don't know how to downsize properly?
Well, they were Disney has been so wealthy, so they could afford it, and it's tough to give someone something and then take it away from them. Once someone receives like an opportunity to work from home and then to take it away, it's easier just to never give them the opportunity.
Yeah, in the first place.
Yeah.
I remember when all this started, and there were like the people that worked for like the city that I lived in, they had like a notice on one of like the Facebook groups that they had to wear masks in Zoom meetings to get people used to the idea of seeing other people in masks. And
what is that? There was like some official phobia they came up with for maskless faces.
And I knew that that society was lost when I had to argue with somebody about it being stupid to wear masks on a Zoom meeting. Which was like you know, like the idea like you've gone to college, so you can literally justify anything if you use enough words. And the idea is like, look, they're just trying to get people used to the idea of seeing other people in masks. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm like, it's stupid. You're stupid. I don't care how many big words you use. I don't care what degree you have. They're at home alone. You're an idiot. I'm out of here.
It even pisses me off when I see the like 6 feet apart stickers on the floors
Still there.
of fast food restaurants and stuff like that.
Or like
get rid of them.
Walmart has like the aisle.
The infrastructure. Get rid of it.
Walmart has like the aisle markers that say you can only go in this way up the aisle or out this way down the aisle. Like adult daycare.
This second story was funny as well. There are officials from the French government that take issue with the way their soldiers were depicted in Wakanda Forever.
Very upset with this, the French government was, because look.
Yoda.
Yeah. they were not happy about this. So
they made it the French.
Yeah,
not the British or the Americans.
No,
they pinned it on the French.
Yeah. So
it said this is from Jean Besson. He said, propaganda. In the latest American Marvel production, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the evil French mercenaries operating in Mali are dressed as Operation Barkhane soldiers. So,
and they're there to steal the vibranium from the place that the Wakandans are keeping, because they have a stronghold in Mali, and they get caught and then brought before the United Nations, and they were not afraid. Imagine that, somebody from a major government upset about getting caught going to another country to pillage their resources. That is, I can't imagine a government ever doing something like that.
I don't know how to pronounce this name, but I think it's Sébastien Lecornu.
Yeah.
He's an official of the French government, and he said, I strongly condemn this misleading representation of our armed forces, I think, and pay tribute to the 58 French soldiers who died defending Mali and its request against Islamist terrorist groups.
It's just, we live in a world that's so beyond parody now that this is put in the same category as soldiers who actually gave their lives defending other people, but somehow this matters when this doesn't matter. I also miss the days when you could show Islamic terrorists in movies. Can't do that anymore.
I thought that Wakanda came off as like a very tyrannical and unstable technological superpower.
Yes.
In the movie, and not as a put upon victim.
Well,
their framing is like that they're this isolationist nation, right? With this irreplaceable, hyper powerful technology.
Yeah, they're ethno-nationalists.
Yet they're for some reason benevolent enough to restrain themselves and not destroy other countries.
Yeah, but not help either.
But not help people with it either. And when you see Angela Bassett in the UN, she comes off as unwilling to negotiate at all. And like there's always the implicit threat that they're going to kill people.
The funny thing is, I never thought of that as like them trying to portray them as anything more than just like, look how much better these people are than everyone else. Like
no country with this technology wouldn't have killed with it.
Yeah, I know.
Like that's just, and that's what annoys me about it, is like they have vibranium, it's so powerful, but they're, enlightened beings that are almost demigods walking the earth, that they haven't killed anyone with it because they're black. Yes. But also that's what it is, right?
But also like for a story like this, it's just weird that we're in a state in the world now where somebody who works for the government of a country has to talk about this as if it's actually like some type of propaganda against the French. It's just a dumb filmmaker who doesn't understand what he's doing. I believe that they're doing it on purpose, but I don't know if him addressing it is actually going to help anything. If anything, it just points up something ridiculous that, like you would say, they're just preaching to the choir. The only people that are going to know this is happening are people that are already aware of it. Like the people watching it don't understand that. The people that are watching it that are the Marvel stans don't understand that.
And I don't think they care either.
No, they don't. But I do miss the days when we could have Islamic terrorists in movies. Those were the good old days. Can't do that anymore. Not allowed to do that.
In Star Wars, they would make the villains used to always be British, like in the 80s and
because they got the cool bad guy voice.
Yeah, of course. Apparently, it's bad.
Yeah,
British is bad guy. That's how we used to think. And this is like they're obviously like pinning this on colonialism. I understand, but that's the British Empire, man. They're in charge of this crap. It's the Empire of Britain.
The French colonized.
Yeah, the French, the British, and the Americans
and
are like
Spanish.
and the particularly Spanish, the Portuguese, all those colonizers. So to pin it on the French, it probably should have been like a multinational force of mercenaries. Realistically, looking back, like an American, British, French coalition or something.
And that would have still been annoying, but at least it would have...
depicting France as an aggressor, as they've never won a war, is kind of ridiculous on its face. So I don't know why they made that choice. They don't know how to win wars.
They don't play golf.
Not in modern times. I mean, technically, they won World War II. They were on our side. They just didn't...
Maybe
they
this
didn't
is
fight for a lot of the...
Maybe it's like a commentary on not being too cocky, because the French are super cocky, and you can't be cocky when you're taking on Wakanda because they're going to take you out.
Shout out to the French and the Statue of Liberty. Freed slave, by the way.
It is what it is. I just thought it was funny because like when I look at this, I just wonder what world we're in now, where a leader of another country or a parliament member, a member of another government has the time of day to like weigh in on something like this.
Media, it's becoming so powerful, like especially with deepfakes and stuff. Like if you see a movie where there's the American president issues nuclear war, I bet around the world people are going to be afraid that the American president will issue nuclear war.
I would love to hear like either Donald Trump or Joe Biden talk about how like the speech from Independence Day is the greatest presidential speech of all time, and how he wishes that he could make a speech that good because of how important it was for society. Like that would be great.
That's Bill Paxton?
Yes.
Is Billy still around? Yeah, well, they should have Bill into the White House.
No, it's not Bill Paxton. That's Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman. Why I got those names?
This is like the same thing. Bill Paxton. Bill Pullman is still alive. Bill Paxton died in 2017.
Yeah, Bill Pullman.
Yeah, that's the good. Have you ever seen the original Independence Day, Mary? Aliens, yes. Will Smith. It's like that's when that was when Will Smith was actually cool. He was actually cool at that time. You had to be there.
Yeah, I'm sure I didn't like register that that's Will Smith at the time that I watched it.
It's more relevant now because of all the alien talk that's going on. Like all the memes that I've seen in the last couple of weeks are all pulled from Independence Day.
My thing is, if aliens exist, why do we care?
Oh, people don't. That's what's funny right now is all this stuff's going on and most people are like, they don't seem to care.
Most people don't care.
We're living in Brave New World. Like people are just too distracted with their daily pleasures.
It's not that it's bad to not care. It's just like, why should we care that there may or may not be aliens?
Yeah.
Like we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Whatever.
Yeah, until they actually say something.
We'll deal with our own problems.
Like let's figure out how to get rid of the Kardashians first. Like as a society, let's get them off.
We've unironically got bigger things to worry about than extraterrestrial nations.
All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Mm-hmm. Dash Fortune said, Ian, the Timcast episode is beyond epic. Rian with Ian needs to be a regular segment. All that's missing is a Kekistani flag. Happy Friday. Cheers. Yeah. So what was Rian with Ian about?
That's like Louder with Crowder. It's a parody.
Okay.
And it's basically a parody of Crowder's negotiations with the Daily Wire.
I see.
So you got, what is it? Hen Shapoltry, I think, is one of them. That's Ben Shapiro. It's very funny.
I still need to catch up on Cast Castle content.
Yeah, this new one was great. It's probably the best one we've ever done.
Okay. And it's only getting better from what I've seen.
Yeah. We keep adding new talent. Wesley Roth, Aaron Lattimore, fantastic director, editor combo. They're great.
Corey Bullig said Mr. Crossland is in the house.
Oh,
X said, Ian, how is graphene the answer to deepfakes or AI? In all seriousness, graphene is actually cool.
Sensors. Graphene sensors. You want super thin layers of graphene sensors over your eyes so that you can discern organic material from non-organic material, at least if you're going to be looking at holographic deepfakes. For television, I'll have to get back to you.
Still on the drawing board.
Holographic deepfakes. Now I'm thinking of like holographic like baseball cards. Like maybe we can get some holographic NFTs.
Yeah. Dumbledore said, speaking of dreams, Ian, do you ever dream of yourself as an animal? People seem to think it's crazy, but it's a wild experience, no pun intended.
Dude, I am an animal. Humans are animals, bro. No,
animal.
Anthropomorphized into like a wolf. No, but I do dream where there are animals involved in the dreams. I had a dream once where I was being attacked by some sort of bird, like a large hawk, and this red wolf came out of the bush or something and attacked the wolf and protected me. And it was like, is that my spirit animal? The red wolf? I think it might be.
That's cool. Dash Fortune said, Neon is working on a game system at the moment, as is AJ Pickett, aka the Mighty Glue Stick. Both are amazing gamer geeks. Perhaps collaborate with them for Crosslands?
I like the Mighty Glue Stick. Oh, the Crosslands.
Great exposure for all involved.
It's a game that Tim and I have been knocking around. People want to call it the Crosslands, but it was essentially D&D. Yeah, kind of like Dungeons & Dragons, but it's a realm, like between realms, like a plane of existence where you can, like a giant hub, train station of dimensional portals, and that would be the Crosslands, and then you just build realities that you can walk to and transport yourself to.
Our brains are so different. It's crazy. Like I would love to spend like 20. I feel like if I spent 20 minutes in your brain, I'd need a day off.
I think it's from all the video games. Part of why I think in these wildly tangential terms.
It's crazy, dude. Like my brain just doesn't work that way. Like I hear
also
portals.
All the weed, man. You smoke a lot of weed because that does it too.
Fair enough.
I didn't used to think like this.
Open your neural pathways a little too wide.
Yeah.
Clint said, howdy people, Ian, awesome job on the latest Cast Castle episode. Best episode ever. Till the next one.
Was that Clint?
That's Clint.
Yeah.
Thanks, Clint.
G. Centoyo sent us $2 without a message.
Thank you.
Thank you. X said John Wick is the best series about killing a puppy.
Yeah. I mean, it's the best series about getting revenge for the death of a puppy. Like that's literally like the amount of people that he kills over the death of his dog is incredible.
Does he snap? Is it like a snapping moment? I've never seen the movie. Like, is he just building up and then that happens and that's like pushes him over the edge?
What happens? Okay, the story is actually so Hollywood, it's not even funny. So in the movie, his wife has cancer. I assume it's cancer. I don't know if they actually said what the illness is. So she's sick, right? He leaves his life as an assassin to get married. He gets his out from the assassin group that allows him to lead a normal life, right? So he's Baba Yaga, and he's she gets sick like immediately after he finally gets out, right? So she dies, and as he's like at the wake for his wife's passing, which by the way, they have a suspicious amount of friends for a guy who's like a shadowy assassin, and she's just kind of a person, and they live in this amazing house, and what he gets is she has a dog sent to him. I guess it was part of her will, and like via a lawyer, a dog is sent to him from his wife is like her final gift.
Where did it come
to
from,
him?
though?
Like from a dog delivery service.
Okay.
So the dog is brought to his house, and he starts taking care of it. And just then, as this happens, his house is broken into by a kid who just happens to be the son of his former boss, but doesn't know that who he's breaking into the house of was actually the famous assassin, and they kill his dog and leave him for dead, and he goes on to then basically murder everyone in this dude's group.
Why'd they kill the dog?
Because they're just assholes. Like
that's okay.
Okay, so it's like it's like his wife is killed all over again.
It's the idea that they killed her final gift to him, and it makes him snap, and he goes after, and he basically is like in the honest trailer, like, and he'll kill 75 people for to avenge his wife's final gift to him, and that's what it is. But you get it because no one wants to see a dog get hurt. Like it's.
Do you see it happen?
Like yeah, I mean not like in it's not graphic or anything like that, but you definitely see the dog die, and it's sad, and then it's not good. But you get his motivation, and it kind of plays into this generational thing we have now, where people are like, oh, I like dogs better than humans. Yeah, I like dogs better than humans, anyways. So it kind of
genuinely, people do feel more compassion for dogs than humans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They steal his car. They don't go there they go there because like basically he runs into this kid who used to be like who is the son of his former boss at a gas station, and the guy's like, I love your car, and he's like, thank you. And he's like, I want to buy it from you. He's like, it's not for sale. And like the kid just gets really offended and then breaks into his house, kills his dog, and steals his car. So he does all this to get his car back and to avenge the dog. And then you'll just see like 9,000
hard to
headshots.
believe.
Well, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. But the whole movie's ridiculous. I mean, they have like little coins that they pay for everything, and it's not supposed to be the real world.
Okay.
So, but it's great.
Hobbit said happy Thursday.
Of course, there's the gaslighting.
I hope you did
again.
have a happy Thursday.
Yes,
yesterday.
whenever that was for you.
John Lee said, Ian, love your Cast Castle acting.
Thanks, John.
Bobcat said, well, Mary, you did publicly admit that you regularly smuggle food into theaters. Do you think that nobody watches this show?
I love the idea that somebody at the theater is watching this show.
I doubt that the people at the theater watch this show.
I knew it. I knew she was eating
But
something.
if they did, that would be funny.
That would be very cool. Let's read one more and then let's. You want to do Andrew Riseborough?
I mean, it's sufficiently stupid. For the end of the show, we've got a few stupid happenings to brief y'all on. So, firstly, Andrea Riseborough, you might remember us talking about her because she got nominated for an Oscar for her performance in To Leslie. I haven't seen To Leslie. I don't think any of us have.
To Leslie, Too Furious.
But it became a huge deal in the press because her nomination got protested. It was this grassroots campaign for her to get nominated, and she didn't expect it to happen at all. It was protested because people believed that people from marginalized groups were, it was a zero-sum game. So, like, she got it because she's white, and, black actresses didn't get it because they are black. And that is the simple explanation they came up with no proof.
Yep.
So, Andrea Riseborough got her nomination investigated by the Academy. They concluded that it was within the bounds of what is allowed for campaigns for nominations. And now she's cucked to all of the accusations of racism, essentially, even though they had no merit whatsoever. And she says that all of that discussion was necessary.
Yeah, because
all
she
of
has
that
to
going
bend
back
the
and
knee.
forth was necessary.
Yep.
She said, the film industry is abhorrently unequal in terms of opportunity. I'm mindful not to speak for the experience of other people because they are better placed to speak, and I want to listen.
It's not a monopoly, the entertainment industry. So it's you need to create your own art if you want to create your own opportunity.
Yep. The point is, though, that
she said it not only makes sense that this conversation would be sparked, but it is necessary. And she's coming to terms with what her nomination means for herself and for others.
She's saying literally nothing at all.
It's just,
it's PR.
It's meaningless PR word salad. But also she's kind of cucking to the accusations of racism. Like, either own that your nomination was earned through merit, or come to terms with, the fact that your woke obligation is to agree with the accusations of racism and step down.
Yeah,
to forfeit your nomination.
She had to say
But you
this.
have to commit to one side.
Yeah. Well, no, they don't. They play both sides, and they do it unabashedly.
Someone said this to me. I mean, she said it in an email. So someone was on the other side to push back. But if this were said out loud, I'd be like, well, what do you mean by that? Do you think that your nomination is part of that abhorrently unequal status of the film industry?
What it is, it's always it's always people pulling up the ladder behind them as soon as they get what they want. They're like, and it's a discussion we have to have now, because now they've gotten what they need. Now they can talk about it because now they've earned their place, right? So now you can talk about it.
Well, it's like Harry Styles acknowledging his, white male privilege at the Brit Awards because a lot of women didn't get nominated for Album of the Year.
So he shouts them out.
And he shouts them out. But at the end of the day, he wins the award, and he wouldn't give it up for a woman. He wouldn't forfeit his award to give it to a woman.
If he actually had principles, he would.
He wants the award. If he had the principles of a male feminist that he claims to have, then maybe he would do something about it instead of just paying lip service to it.
Yep.
But still, he gets away with that.
They all just post lip service to it. Nobody ever actually stands by their words. Nobody ever actually gives up the job to somebody who they feel is from a marginalized group. They want the next person to give up their job for somebody from a marginalized group. But they always say it from the safety of the success they've already earned. They don't ever wait. Or they don't ever do it ahead of time.
I don't know why people from these supposedly marginalized groups want to be treated like kindergarteners. Like, why do you want a participation trophy? Don't you want to earn what you accomplished?
They don't.
Don't you want to earn your award? But people like actually do want to be handed things and spoon-fed.
Yeah,
and I don't understand that psychology.
I don't think it used to be that way. I think there used to be a lot of merit in the idea of earning it on your own. And this comes up a lot when we're talking, a lot of what we're talking about is the idea that back in the day, you wouldn't want to be the token character in anything. You wouldn't want to just be handed something because it's your skin color for anything. You wouldn't want to just get a job because it's of your gender for anything, because you wanted to know that you got there based on whatever your skill set was, whatever the merits you have that you bring to the project are. Now, a lot of people are so ideologically entrenched in their identity that they see it as a virtue that they get their jobs based on those characteristics.
My reference is 2006. I was in LA acting, and if I were to say like I deserve something that I haven't earned, I would be laughed at, I would be ridiculed, blacklisted, and that would have been the end of my career. It would have like spread around that I was like demanding something that, like, dude, if you're not the best, you're not going to get it. That's the way it works. You got to be the best.
Yep. And then if you earn something, don't go ahead and say and make your acceptance speech about it how this doesn't happen for people who look like me very often. And like Michelle Yeoh going off about how hard it was to come up in Hollywood being an Asian woman, and about getting discriminated against by ageism and microaggressions and all of this stuff.
All they have to do is pivot their mindset.
Even people with the merit to win these awards, like that showrunner for Reservation Dogs, for instance, they're so obsessed with the award show culture that having the popularity, like the organic popularity and money that comes with it, is still not enough. They need to have recognition from within their club.
I would go to so many auditions and not get the role. I was super scrawny, was just super skinny, 136 pounds, 138 pounds. And I'd go in and I'd be, in my mind, I'm like, I'm the best actor here. Yeah. But the other guys would be like, big and muscular, they'd be muscular. And then I'd see the commercial come out and it would be the muscular guy and he's terrible. And I'm like, but if I had started complaining about that, like, we need to give skinny guys, dude, they cast the sexy men, get it? That's how it works.
Representation for men under 140.
The reason
you didn't do that.
The reason why the straight white men who do these roles also complain is funny too to me, because most of the time they have to earn it on their actual merits, because you don't have a identity bargaining chip to get roles. So it's why their storytelling around straight white males is always better, because they don't focus on something that that only a certain group can relate to, because it's the group that is considered now the oppressor. You have to make a story based on merit rather than based on an identity characteristic, but everything else is based on identity characteristics, and it just falls flat for everyone else. But for these people, it seems like they're okay with it. Like, it's weird to me, but it feels like they're okay with getting roles knowing that they only got it for a specific reason.
I'll tell you, rich people had a way easier time in Hollywood than poor people, because you didn't have to have a day job. Your mommy's and daddy's money let you own your condo. You could go to auditions all day, 4, 5, 6, 7 auditions a day, because you had time, because you didn't have to work during the day. You could go out at night and socialize and buy people drinks.
Not to mention the contacts that whatever that money might have gotten you into to begin with.
What do you mean?
I'm saying, like, if they come from
like you
money,
come from Juilliard, so you know your agent knew your director, that kind of thing, for sure. The influence, the money. But I didn't complain about it. I'm not like, damn it, give me the same. Like, that's just the dice roll in that direction for me, and I had to be the best I could be. And if you are the best you can be, something will come of it.
I wish more people would approach these things with. It's why nobody complains whenever they cast a really well. It's why nobody complains when Idris Elba gets a role, because they know that he got the role because he's Idris Elba, not because he looks a certain way.
That guy's awesome.
Maybe it plays a role, but his name's bigger than his skin color.
It definitely plays a role.
But maybe they were always going to cast somebody of his skin tone for that role. But at least you understand that he is an exceptional talent. Therefore, people are more willing to accept that type of change.
I saw a story. He's saying, I just want to be called an actor. I'm done being called a black actor.
We talked about that.
There was another guy who said something recently where he says, I'm not sure if I agree with that 100%, but I'm kind of on board with it. So it's like,
Who else? Who's the other guy?
I don't even remember. Somebody else that he had worked with. I just saw it today, but I just didn't add it to the story list. But that'll be a thing. Like maybe they'll fake their meritocratic return to society, but it won't work unless it's actors that you actually care about. Samuel L. Jackson will always be Samuel L. Jackson first. Morgan Freeman will also always be Morgan Freeman first. Same with Denzel Washington. Same with all of these actors that earned it. That earned it years before. Like think about Chris Rock. Chris Rock is just Chris Rock. Dave Chappelle is just Dave Chappelle.
Like cancel culture and race hustling and wokeness and like the feminization of social norms and all of this stuff. It's really done a disservice to Black people, honestly, because it made a lot of them behave in just as corny of a way as white people are capable of behaving.
In
like
this industry,
they became like the corny and embarrassing archetype that generally was aimed at white people before.
That like stupid Sambo character.
It's just like.
No, now they're feminized.
There's that guy.
Yeah,
they're
like,
feminized in movies.
The complaint and the nannying culture, and like the expectations about like rudeness and politeness and sensitivities. It's affected everyone.
There's a guy named I Show Speed. You know that guy on YouTube?
No.
I don't want to dog on him too hard, but I feel like he plays the character of what he thinks a stereotypical Black guy is supposed to be in the 1920s to get clicks. Like he acts stupid on purpose, or it's just like not always. I'm looking at a video of him right now. He's just a dude, but like I hate to see people think they've got to play some like racial role, like racial identity.
Well, yeah, like even Fresh Prince and like think about it, like Fresh Prince was a normal show with Black people in it, and then you look at something like Blackish, and the whole point of the show is that they're Black.
Family Matters, Moesha, all these shows back in the day that did it far better and in decades earlier. But their argument, I think, if they were to come up with their criticism of those shows, they would say that those were pushing white values.
Like what?
That's what the racists would say.
What are white values? That's what I would ask
exactly.
them.
No, and we would agree.
Suspenders?
Like, but I'm not saying that it's true. I'm saying that
when in
it's
reality,
what they
like,
would say.
Oh, they bought into the capitalist
We just had different
system.
values as a society then, and there were more white people around than there are in America today. Yeah. That's just it.
And the number one criticism for this is that she bent the knee and that she felt like she had to make this statement. Andrea Riseborough, right? Like she got her nomination. Now she to get through the nomination and not be put down further, she has to kowtow and give them this comment. I don't think she'll win.
No,
I don't think she'll win it.
Being nominated is enough clout.
Yeah, for her,
Yeah,
for her,
yeah.
and you know that actually might like lead to her getting bigger roles and stuff like that.
I didn't know that she was in Amsterdam.
Which character did she play in that?
I forget.
I don't remember which character.
I don't even remember the name of Margot Robbie's character, so don't even ask me.
I always remember them by their names, the actors' names, than by character names.
Did you want to go to Chloe Bailey? Or?
Why don't we just go straight to Mario Kart? Let's just go straight to Mario Kart. All right, guys. this one makes me so happy. Mario Kart ride at Universal Studios deemed fatphobic for being too small.
Yeah, there is a 40-inch waistline maximum to ride this ride. There is also
hate it when that happens.
A height requirement like all other rides, so it might be heightest as well.
40,
but no one said that.
What did you say 48 inches?
Yeah, 48 is the norm.
So
you can't have a waistline over 40 inches to ride the ride. Someone tweeted, nothing but wonderful things to say about Super Nintendo World except this. The body size limitations on the Mario Kart ride are absolutely ridiculous. Never had any issue fitting into any ride in my entire life, and I can barely fit into this one. Completely absurd. So they're just supposed to like rebuild the entire ride to accommodate you being overweight.
Maybe what they should do is make it like those pop out like trailers where like the windows pop out and make it wider, so like you can pop the seats out, and so like so for somebody who's like over 40-inch waist.
Look, I mean, I get it because I actually looked into this before the show. The average waistline of American women is 38.7. Wild. And it goes up through the age brackets, but I think it's 36 something for women in their 20s, and it just goes up little by little through the age brackets. 38.7 is the average.
What?
And for men, it's 40.5.
Those are actually pretty close. But I guess the women's is because the hips are wider, right? Like, does that play a role in that?
Well, the waist is placed differently on men and women,
Okay.
right? But yeah. Like, so genuinely, yes, the
Damn,
Mario
girl.
Kart ride at Universal will not fit the average waistline of an American man and many American women.
We need to get them to like into a car that they can fit in to get them to a gym.
From
Not to a ride. We need to get them to if they're going to be in something like this. It should
I've
be
heard that Planet Fitness has some fun rides.
maybe a stationary bike might help them a little bit. Like
the Stairmaster is a fun ride.
look, they could use the Stairmaster and that might help them, or maybe we could drive them to like a farmer's market for better food.
Here's some more tweets. Someone said, still mad about that 40-inch waistline requirement for the Mario Kart ride. It's just blatantly fatphobic. There's nothing about it that can't accommodate a bigger human.
What about it?
Let alone an average-sized one, as 40 inches is hardly monumental. I'm a few pounds from there myself. Another person said, I guess I'm not going to bother going to Universal. If you're over a 40-inch waist, you can't go on the Mario Kart ride. I wouldn't be admitting that on a public forum, honestly.
I got a question. Is it more embarrassing to not meet the height requirement or to not meet the wide
At
requirement?
least the height is out of your control, right?
Yeah, diet.
I mean, that's the thing, though. No one said that it discriminates against people under 48 inches tall.
Yes.
The phobia thing's weird. I think
Well, they love that word.
No one said it's short-phobic or whatever.
Yeah, they're not afraid of fatness. That's not why they made 40-inch. They're doing it for money.
Yes.
It's a profit thing. It has nothing to do with fear.
I just and everything's a phobia now. Like, do you know anyone who's actually legitimately scared of anything that gets called some type of phobic these days? Or do
Me
people just-
when I see a fat person.
Yeah.
Ah!
Like Mary
I'm gonna
runs
run
the
away.
other
No
Mary
one's
just-
afraid. It's just like, maybe these theme parks are gonna notice that increasingly their rides do not accommodate the attendees.
Maybe people just
because
don't
people
realize.
are just getting larger and larger, and they're selling all of these fried foods that are also contributing to the problem.
On fitnessvolt.com, it says that the average waistline for women in the 2010s was 37.4, but it's 38.7, so 1.3
38.7.
inches larger now
Maybe
in the next
what-
decade.
It's like 36 point something for women in their early 20s.
What?
Like, that's crazy.
Maybe what they need to understand is that like Universal is just that friend of yours that tells you what you need to hear, even though you don't want to hear it. And what they're saying is, put down the fried foods.
I mean,
go and get some exercise.
It's crazy because when I go out, I look around and I don't really think about it that hard. Like, I don't think like their waist is probably this many inches. I'm not like hyper analyzing how people look, right? But the numbers are right there. The science has been conducted.
Well, it's
these
settled.
it's settled. Like, I didn't.
It's settled. America's fat.
Maybe I am also desensitized to the fact that like obesity is just becoming more and more of a problem around us.
America's famously known around the world as just being a fat country full of people.
It's spreading as well
yeah,
to other
it's-
countries, but yeah.
That kind of makes me think of yesterday. One thing that I was thinking about, this is so off topic, it's not even funny. When we were watching Blood and Honey, and I'm looking at these women, and you mentioned like they all have lip fillers. Do you ever notice how like since the internet became a thing, like the looks of men and women have homogenized? Like what I think of as a beautiful woman in the UK is not of what I think of as a beautiful woman in the US. Like I don't think of that as the same thing.
Meaning what exactly?
Like I like when I think of what Americans think of as beautiful, I think of that as like the Kardashians, whether we think it is or not. I think of like that's what America holds up as a beauty standard now because of Hollywood. When I think of a beautiful woman in the UK, I think of someone fair-haired, fair-skinned, and more
ancestrally
plain looking
from that area.
Yeah, but also maybe more modest looking.
Well, actually, I mean, that's probably based on like media, right? But
yeah,
if you go over there, you notice that they are kind of behind on a lot of our trends from here. So a lot of the women over there do really heavy makeup,
Really?
and heavy self tanner. And
yeah, they do the bottled hand, like very like you couldn't even do that here because you'd get called racist.
You think that European women are more like about natural beauty, but then like at least in the UK they're like heavy makeup, heavy self tan. And like they had the lip fillers as well in the movie.
They just look like every American.
It's getting more and more common.
They just look like every American girl that I see now. Like there was a redhead though. There was a redhead there.
Yes, but she was the first one to die. So ginger side moment.
Did she? Maybe? Was she dyed? I think she had roots, so I think she was a dyed redhead. But she dyed it a more natural looking redheaded color.
You could have fooled me.
I think I saw some roots there. I was paying very close attention.
Okay.
So like, look, maybe Universal Studios is just a better friend. They're telling you what you don't want to hear.
Thank you. Yeah.
Who does the voice on that?
Carter.
Nice.
It's Carter.
Maybe because Nintendo is Japanese owned and they're like subtly fat shaming other countries.
I love it. I love it.
I'm sure like a lot of Americans who aren't even overweight can't fit in a lot of like Japanese made products like or clothing as well.
And like I know that American size, like there's things that there's clothes that you can buy where like you get like an American size and then a rest of the world size. Like it's a like some of the shirts that I have, it's like it listed as like an XL in American, but a large in everything else. Basically, it's like it's two sizes. Like
wouldn't an American size be vanity sized down?
No, ours, like it's, I'm sorry, it would be a large here if it was an XL somewhere else.
A size 2 in American sizing is, I believe, a size 6 in the UK.
Yeah. So that's crazy.
But it's the same exact measurement, right?
We just need the number. We need more numbers, so we have to start lower. Because we're fatter here.
Yeah.
Look, Universal Studios is just being based. They're just telling you, like, look, you're a little fat. Maybe you should be not here today. Like maybe they're trying to like they're actually trying to like, look, we don't want to necessarily take all your money. Like you could be using this for a gym membership and saving some years on those bones and those joints.
Also, like severely obese people are at more of a risk of heart attack. If you go on a ride and it's hard G's on your body,
it's really just they're getting out of the
loss. Very stressful. You could have myocarditis.
You don't want really sick people using your materials and then blaming you for getting killed or
waiting
injuries.
For a lawsuit.
Died suddenly at Universal Studios.
The ride looks really fun though.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
I would call obesity a sickness. It's just a long, slow, drawn-on sickness that can cause other sickness, but it seems like a type of illness almost. Like it's not, they say that it causes other types of illness, but it seems like just looking at it, it seems unhealthy.
I don't know. Like that's one of those things. Like back in the day, I was the dude who bought into it. Like every person I saw that was like, I made the excuse. I'm like, oh, it's probably a medical condition. Like I was that guy who said that for everyone. I just assumed that
it's not probably, but it always could be, which is the reason they give you for not commenting on it.
And I still do that. Like I'm still programmed that way, right? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, unless you're, like you said, unless you're holding like the double XL Mountain Dew and like the 4 bags from McDonald's.
But they finally conceded that it's a lifestyle choice, but it's one that they should be able to make consequence free.
Fine, but don't make me look at photos of it.
They've conceded that it's not like something you're born with, at least.
But still, like
but
now
don't make me celebrate you for it.
Yeah, and don't put it on advertisements when the advertisement, that's not what advertising was ever supposed to be.
It would suck to be a kid that gets fed like Pepsi by your mom when you're like 3 months old or 6 months old, and then when you're like finally gaining consciousness at the age of like 6, you're fat, you're really obese, and it's like, what have they done to me? And then it's almost like your body's been prepped for it. That's hard to come back.
Well, I mean, it's like I didn't eat super healthy growing up, but I was also very active and was in multiple sports and stuff like that. So it was like whether that was the right choice or not was kind of at least evened out by the fact that I also had a family that valued athletics, that valued physical activity, getting me out of this. It's the typical trope in the 90s. Your mom kicked you out of the house at 9 a.m. and you didn't come home until dinner time. So you got plenty of physical activity back then.
I was fed broccoli, peas, carrots.
No
sugar.
You didn't eat any like meat or fish?
Meat, all that fish, meat, but no sugar. We had sugared cereal on Saturday morning. That was the only time.
A treat.
Yeah, if we ate it, we were grounded. If they caught us eating sugar, no soda in the house ever. No Pepsi, no Coke. Wasn't allowed in the house. Thank God. At the time, I hated it. Because my friends would have Pepsi. They'd be eating sugar, and because of it, I wasn't obese, I guess.
My dad made omelets on Saturdays. My dad's big thing.
Ooh, nice.
And you do the thing where he's like, he'd be making it and he'd be like, casually look outside. He goes, oh, there's the people from the restaurant down the street trying to get my secret recipe.
He sounds charming.
Yes, very wholesome stuff. But now I'm hungry. Now I want an omelet. So.
Okay.
All right, but apparently a fat-free one, so that
no.
so that I can too.
That's the lie they sell you is that you need to get everything fat-free.
Don't do it.
It's not. You need fat.
Fat-free, they just add sugar to replace the flavor lost by the fat. You actually want fat, but certain types of fat.
Well, I know that there was a big, like the sugar industrial complex, like waged a war against fat back in the day,
Yeah,
right?
in the 80s and 90s, the fat-free craze was all like just supplanted with sugar.
Yeah.
Oh, what a gross...
That sugar industry, they're probably the ones giving the tips to Pfizer these days. That's what they're doing.
No joke, dude. You get them sick with the food, and then you treat them with the medicine.
That's what it is. All right, and then like bing bang boom, you can't get on the ride at Universal, and you end up having to go to the manager at the Universal Studios and say, look, I can't fit on their ride.
Out.
And then what do? They're like, look, we can give you tickets to you can go to
Here's
Universal
a coupon
Studios
for free food.
for a butterbeer at Diagon Alley.
Yeah,
and then they're
just
like,
eat
damn
some
it.
more.
Yeah. And then they're like, I can't do that either because J.K. Rowling is a transphobe. And then they're just miserable the rest of the day. All right, let's go to Super Chats.
Savrix said, our focus thresholds of the eyes as well as the brain.
What was that?
I don't know. I think that might have been written differently.
Okay.
John Lee said, I never had COVID. However, after my third shot, I had random pain around my body at random times. Wish I had never taken the vax.
Interesting.
I'm sorry that happened to you, man.
And maybe you had COVID and just didn't know it. Because if you didn't test for it, you wouldn't know.
Monkey D. Shane said, make MCU girls 90s comic versions again.
Look, they're not even allowed to be super hot anymore. That's have you ever seen that meme about it's like she's posing and it's like, I love the way that they drew her hair, and it's just the ass is just so fat. It's like Sue Storm, and like it's so great. Like comics.
I understand if
so
you can't make the actresses be like cartoonishly voluptuous.
Do it.
Well, you can't though. Like they're actual people.
Fake it.
Deepfake the
padding.
Yeah.
Pad the costumes.
Could, but that would make them look like drag queens.
Damn it! Don't ruin this for me.
I know that from watching Drag Race. They like cut out the foam hips to stick on. Noah Frager said, Ian, the only thing that could make your mug even cooler is if it were made of graphene. Lots of good vibes your way, my guy.
That's a good point, dude.
And there's no more money being shot into it.
No, you guys nailed it earlier.
James Orenthal Wen said, DJ Big Boy used to call Boys to Men the crybabies.
Hey, you leave Boys to Men alone, okay? They did that song with Mariah Carey. I love that song.
Jacob Edler said, children aren't an expense, they're an investment. Yeah, it depends on how you look at it.
Well, they're both,
I
suppose.
You're investing in the future that you want to create by raising kids and hopefully to be good men and women.
I asked my dad what kind of fiscal return he wanted on my life because I was like, you spent so much money on me in the first 18 years. How much can I give it? He's like, don't worry about it. I'm like, no, seriously, what do you want? He's like, 50 to 1. So, okay, I was like, okay, he spent probably about like 80,000 on me, so I got to give him 50 times that, which is like 800, 4.5 million, 4 million. If I can get him 4 million, I think that'll be worth it.
You've done your job.
Yeah.
Facty Platty said, Bad App was never afraid to ask for Mary's hand.
That is true, he was not.
And I was never afraid to say no. No accusations being flown here. Eye of Horus said, Ian, my man, my name is Ian with 2 N's.
Whoa,
love you, man.
That's awesome.
One of my favorite is there was a rollerblader named Ian McLeod, and I just felt so bad for this dude because nobody could spell his name correctly because it was IAIN MCLE.
At that point, you're the problem.
Like, no.
You've got to change your own name.
No, leave this guy. Like, this guy was my favorite rollerblader of all time. So I would get really like, I get like secondhand angry for him at all of the misspellings of it. Like, I'm like, or they'd get just the first name right or just the last name right. I'm like, how do you get the complicated last name right, but you can't remember the second I in Ian? Come on.
Evan King said, Demolition Man was written by a time traveler. We're headed toward a 2032 of tickets for bad words, sex without touching, and Taco Bell as the only food.
I'm completely okay with that last part. I'm cool with that.
I'm on board.
Yeah, like
not the rest of it though.
Will it have hot Sandra Bullock in it like it did at the time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Creative Juice said, "Hey Brett, hi Mary, sup Ian."
Yo.
Hello.
Very
Juice.
succinct. Dumbledorp said, "Sometimes work from home can be more productive. I can keep going from my home office once the physical office is closed. All-nighters, weekends."
Yeah.
Depends on the person.
Yes.
Cardio Bro said, "Blessed to have a job that pays me for my commute. Drove 8 hours today to work on site for 3.5.
Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Legit.
That's crazy." James Ornthal Wen said, "Pullman, President, USA, Paxton, game over, man."
Did you ever see Training Day?
Only clips. I've seen
Training Day?
probably about 20 or 30 minutes of it.
Paxton, man. Bill Paxton.
Potatoes for Seamus said, "How to kidnap Ian. White van that says free the code underneath, that a sticker and a sticker that says graphene powered van. Easy enough. Love you, Ian. Hi, Brett and Mary."
Maybe we can make that. Like we can make our own. We could do our own version of Velma.
A graphene mystery machine.
Yeah, we could do our own version of Velma. And Ian can drive the graphene mystery machine.
Okay.
Let's go.
Dumbledorp said, "Who is Julia Fox? Love you, Brett. That is all."
I'm so over this. I think I'm gonna get a shirt that says "Who is Julia Fox?"
Brett is gonna go postal if someone asks who Julia Fox is.
We talked about she dated Kanye West. She was in a couple of movies. She's very unimpressive, but we have to always mention this whenever we talk about her because she's a gnarly, like over the top feminist. So she gets segments because her takes are horrible, and then every time we do this, inevitably you get the people saying, "Who is Julia Fox?" I'm like, it can't be that many people still asking this question after so many times talking about her.
X said, "Y'all should have the theater manager come on the show to talk about running a theater and how it's changed, and to get their blessing to bring food."
And it would be really funny if Mary, like, it's the one episode Mary eats on the show where she just eats sushi while we're talking to this guy.
Unfortunately, I think this person might go by they them pronouns. So
Think so?
I don't think that would happen.
You don't think he's coming to hang out at Timcast?
No.
Probably not.
Can't say your name. Said, "Don't watch these live. Just stopped by to thank Brett for the great show and base takes. Ian is cool too. That is all."
I've got some show recommendations today as well. I'll save that for the end. Or should I just do it now? Should I just do show?
Can.
All right. Brett recommends. Now somebody will type in the chat Brett recommends and put the little music symbols on there. I need a song. So I got a couple of movies. What you should look into watching is Law Abiding Citizen from 2009, I believe, with Gerard Butler and Jamie Foxx. You could argue that Jamie Foxx was a little bit miscast in this movie, but it's really fun. It's about a grieving father. He's basically out to get revenge against the government for not doing their job. And then also Safe House, starring Denzel Washington and Ryan Reynolds. And I wanted to pull up the picture of it too because it's my favorite. This Photoshop of Ryan Reynolds is so bad. Like, look at the Photoshop on Ryan Reynolds' face here. Who got paid for that? Like, it doesn't even look like him. Like, what did they do to his cheeks in that?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So go see either of those. So yeah, it was that. It was Law Abiding Citizen with Jamie Foxx and Gerard Butler. And then this would be the harder one to find. It was a show called Endgame. And it was only on the Showcase Network. So it's like mostly Canadian fare, starring Sean Doyle and Catherine Isabelle. Torrance Coombs. They're all these they're the most Canadian actors you've ever seen. It's amazing. And basically it's about an agoraphobic chess grandmaster who locks himself in a hotel room, like who lives out of a hotel after a tragedy, a bomb kills his wife. And it's very, very smartly written as a guy who basically gets hired to like solve crimes from his hotel room, solve mysteries and crimes from his hotel room. It's very charming. I don't even know where you'd be able to find it. You can buy it on Amazon Prime. It's only 13 episodes. It's also like impossible to find anything on now because after Avengers Endgame, anything with the name Endgame is just immediately dropped to page 954. Awful. So those are my suggestions for today.
Rascal King said, "The Rascal King wishes you a happy Saturday."
Well, thank you for the gaslighting and the well wishes.
In advance.
In advance. Okay, fair enough.
Bert Feg said, "Peduncle." Hope I said that right. The solitary stem uplifting the singular flower that is PCC. That's Mary.
Oh, that's you.
That's it.
So you're the peduncle.
Thanks for introducing us to this term.
I feel like that's something that somebody would have used as a clever name on MySpace back in the day. Like you would have had a name that says Mary is a peduncle or Mary is peduncle or something like that.
No, it's like my Spotify username, which I guess I can't repeat on here.
Nah.
But yeah, it's something equally corny because I made it when I was like 12.
See, there you go. Perfect. But if it was MySpace, you could have had HTML and like flashing designs. You'd have loved it.
Yeah, that's how I do my Tumblr, at least.
Perfect.
Wayward Soul said, at Olive Garden, I saw a lady ask for a chair with no armrests because she didn't fit. They brought a regular chair. Then she asked for another one for each cheek.
That can't be real.
No.
No way.
That last place you need to be if you're that size is Olive Garden.
Those breadsticks will get you, man. Those unlimited breadsticks, man.
Olive Garden is some of the most filling food that you don't actually enjoy. Like, it's not even that good. And I am very generous with saying, like, certain foods are good.
Yeah.
Olive Garden is just not it.
Not a big
It ain't
fan.
it.
And
you can tell that they put sugar in their marinara sauce, and it's gross.
Now I just want the breadsticks. Like, I would be fine.
I don't even remember what the breadsticks
They're very generic and
I've been
good.
to Olive Garden literally, like, twice in my life. Maybe just once. And they have horrible dessert options.
I didn't even like. I'm from a social class that didn't do dessert, so I didn't do dessert.
It's just lame. Chris Chan.
But you do want Taco Bell.
Yeah.
It's Taco Bell over.
Yeah. I mean, what Taco Bell needs to do is sell amounts of Cinnabon Delights other than 2 and 12. Like, why can you only purchase 2 or 12?
No
why
6
do you have
option?
to go? Why do you have to be like modest about it, or just go absolutely insane with it? Can there be a 6 or a 4?
6 sounds good.
6 would be perfect.
6 would be perfect.
Chris Chan said, have you heard about the new How to Train Your Dragon movie? It's going to be made by the same director from the last movie.
Yeah, they're doing it live action. I don't know how they're going to do that, but that'll be interesting.
The dragon isn't going to be cute anymore.
You know what the funny thing is I love, like, we talk about CGI a lot here. Did you ever see the show Merlin?
I have seen like 1 episode.
I love how bad the CGI dragon is in that show. It's endearing. Like, it's so endearing to just see something that they just had they're like, look, it's 2006. We have no idea what we're doing. This is on like BBC One budget. Like, we don't have the money for it. The costumes are very cheap, but I love that show. It's also further proof that before everything got like hyper politicized, Black Guinevere, nobody cared. It was awesome. Loved it. Nobody, like, it wasn't a thing because they, like, at the time, was it probably political to the person who casted them? Maybe, but I don't think so. And it was a beautiful time.
I don't know what Merlin is based on.
The
like
King
a
Arthur
book series?
I think it's just based on like the King Arthur tales. Like, I don't know if it's based on a specific
so
book
it's an
series.
original show.
Yeah. Like, it was, but it was great. It was so much fun. Like, it's like, I look at like stuff like when people like talk about Game of Thrones or they talk about The Witcher, and I'm always like, look, I get it. I'm low class. I'm lowbrow. I like the cheesy stuff. I like the cheesy stories better.
I like Merlin and Olive Garden.
Plus it had Katie McGrath, who was super hot at that time.
Dumbledore said, averages can be skewed by outliers. Yes, I'm a nerd, but 1 busload of buffaloes will tilt the scales. What is the median waist for the sexes? I could look that up.
Busload of buffaloes. If I had a band, that's what it would be called.
I didn't look up the median, but will. Luis Aguilar said, as a person of a larger body, I support their decision. I will be hitting the college track before I go to the market.
Do both. Like, find someone who can do both. That's what they say.
Hobbit said, as someone who's very overweight, I'm fine with this. More cultural pressure to lose weight is better than encouraging it and trying to normalize it.
Like, is there a middle ground we can find? Like maybe the idea that like I'm not like, maybe we were there at one point where like I was never going to judge you for what you look like because I certainly didn't want anyone judging me for what I look like. But maybe if we're not supposed to celebrate things that are very clearly unhealthy for one another, right? Like maybe if we could get back there.
It will get back there, yeah.
Think
I
so?
don't know. It might not be in our lifetime. It might be like a different society of humans. Humans might split off and become different organisms. Like, I don't know if Homo sapiens not the final form of what we are. I don't know, man. They're just so prone to illness when people get really fat. You can become so that's it. I don't want to, horrible things could happen to people that are really vulnerable to illness. So you got to be. You got to take care of yourself.
And it is hard to wonder if it's not a little bit of weird, like, cultural eugenics from rich people who are like, if we just push this idea on people, they will take care of themselves. They will not, if Chelsea Handler tells you she loves her life without kids, and
you're stupid enough to buy it.
And you're stupid enough to buy it, and Lizzo tells you it's beautiful to be fat, and you buy it, like, the people falling for this stuff will pull themselves out and opt out of a future in this country.
Even Meghan Trainor, who isn't that large, was part of that whole like body positivity push.
Yes, she was.
Yeah.
Back when the body positivity movement had some credibility, am I right?
Did it?
No. I mean, Adele was part of that. And Adele was just kind of like chunky, right?
Well, they think, oh, she sings so well because she's fat.
That's literally what it is, too. They were like, it's like it was like her superpower.
There were people saying after she lost weight, like, is she going to sing as well?
Yeah. Probably better, because she'd have better, like, control over lungs,
it would change
right?
how you sound, but
It
I
does.
don't know how. Bobcat said, I still think it's racist that in Harry Potter, the character named Seamus kept blowing everything up. Yeah, Seamus Finnegan, he just, like, kept blowing things up. Look, not all Irish people are IRA members.
And there was no cars there. Now, if he had a broomstick bomb, that might be a little bit sus.
Well, there was a flying car. I've seen that.
Yeah, but he didn't blow it.
What if he blew up the
If Seamus Finnegan accidentally puts a car bomb underneath Ron Weasley's dad's flying car, we might have to have a discussion with J.K. Rowling.
It's not a car bomb until you place a bomb in a car, right? Otherwise, it's just a bomb.
If Seamus Finnegan blows up Ron Weasley's car, we'll have a talk with J.K. Rowling.
Paper2X said, Ian, the best way to repay your dad is to give him grandkids to brighten his latter days. Have fun at movies, PCC crew. Mary, try to chew silently.
Thanks,
Will do. Cardio Bro said, Mary's fat phobia makes my heart swell with joy. Wait, maybe that's brought to me by Pfizer.
See, that's the problem, man. It's you don't want your heart swelling because of anything Pfizer did. You want your heart swelling because of Mary's fat phobia.
Jimmy Shelley sent us a sticker, I guess.
It's
yeah, I don't know what that is.
Dog? Looks like a dog. Thank you.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, Brett, you didn't suggest The Wire in your recommendations. Are you okay? Blink if you need help.
I try to switch it up every now and then.
Yeah.
Right? Like I would also recommend
diversify the portfolio.
I would also recommend watching Justified. Justified is on Hulu. Oh, also another perfect example of why you should buy physical media, right? I've been really deep into watching Buffy lately, and then just out of nowhere, bam, Hulu hits you with the expires in 12 days thing at the top. So now I've got 12 days to finish it because I don't have it on DVD. Maybe I should just go out and buy it. Right?
Maybe.
Like, it's not one of the series that I owned before. It's not something that I have in any of my box sets at home.
I just hate that DVDs take up so much space.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't want to.
It's the physical having to get up and put a new disc in every time. So
that I don't mind. It's just I don't want a whole shelf taken up with DVDs. I have enough books as it is.
Can you store it on a hard drive?
That's what I do. Like, I usually end up so first you buy it, and then you go to the high seas and download it in a legal fashion, in the most legal fashion possible. You download it so that way you've also purchased it, so you've given them their money, and then you download it.
I don't even believe in the whole ethical aspect of it. Whatever.
I'm totally not saying this as some type of like a disclaimer, but yeah, like that's the idea. Like, put it on a hard drive so that you can put it in VLC and just put all the seasons.
Where's James Bond at right now?
The movie number?
Well, like all the James Bond movies. Like, where are they?
What do you mean? Like, what?
Where are the Bond movies at?
They're spread out over a bunch of services.
Like, who owns them?
It's owned by MGM, which is owned by Amazon. But I was watching them on multiple platforms. I had to watch them between Amazon Prime and HBO Max.
Yeah.
Because I got really excited. I posted a tweet where I said, like, I'm really excited because they put GoldenEye back on HBO Max, which I assumed meant that all of them were on there. And then I went to watch The World Is Not Enough, and it wasn't on there.
Yeah.
That's BS.
Now they're taking Arrested Development off of Netflix, even the ones that Netflix produced.
These people, man.
Makes no sense. DJ Freak Juice said,
It's a great name.
Yo, are we going to talk about Summer movies?
Summer movies.
Summer movies?
Summer movies.
What?
Summer blockbusters, I'm guessing. Last Action Hero.
Last Action Hero looks dope. I bet 10,000 it makes more money than Jurassic Park.
Look, did we get transported back to 1993?
I don't know who this is.
What year did can somebody look it up? What year did Last Action Hero?
93.
So yeah, it would have been the year Jurassic Park comes out. So we got transported. Also, somebody did point out the other day, somebody gave me the Uber correction that apparently when I was mentioning that it was the anniversary of Wayne's World, I said the 80s, but it didn't come out in the 80s. It came out in 92.
What was it, a Saturday Night Live skit in the 80s?
It was probably still the early 90s, but the movie came out on February 14th, 92. So it was.
Yeah, I was confused when you said it was that old because I was like.
Yeah, the first Wayne's World sketch appeared in 1988.
So technically,
89 series of Saturday Night Live.
If I hadn't quantified and said the movie, I could have still been technically right. But yeah, the movie came out on February 14th, 1992, so it turned 31 years old this year.
Oh.
Rhaegar Targaryen said a chair for each cheek must be capping.
Cap.
It's real, though. High Voltage 75 said, Brett, you've been talking about Conquest lately, but did you ever watch the short-lived 90s MK cartoon? By the way, who's your fave MK character?
I don't have a favorite character because I love Mortal Kombat Legacy because it's so cheese, but I also loved the hated, and I do mean hated, Mortal Kombat animated movie, Mortal Kombat: The Journey Begins. It's so bad. It looks like a PlayStation 1.
Do you love it because it's bad?
No, it's pure nostalgia. It's something. It came on the Mortal Kombat 1 VHS. Right? Like in like a 2-pack. So my love for it isn't because it's a good movie. It's because it's part of my childhood. If they were to remake that today exactly as it was now, nobody from this day and age, even if they updated the animation, wouldn't love it. It's purely a nostalgia thing. So I did not watch the cartoon from back then, but I do love Conquest and I do love Legacies, and I do love the Mortal Kombat Rebirth, the 10-minute short that they made in 2010 that was like a pitch for a new Mortal Kombat movie. They got Jerry Ryan to be in it. I don't know how they pulled that off. She must have had to do. I think she had to she literally owed the director a favor or something, and that's why she was in it. Had Ian Anthony Dale, the actor, the guy from. He's been in a bunch of things, but Salvation and a lot of other stuff like that. He's a Minnesota resident who has almost the same birthday as me. I always remember that. He's born July 3rd. He's a Minnesota guy. Mm-hmm. But one of the Minnesota actors that made it big.
Twin.
Yeah. Almost.
Who's your birthday twin again?
Lindsay Lohan.
Any others?
And Larry David.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the big ones. There's a bunch of them, though.
1,000 Foot Deep End said happy... Wait, what?
Do you have a birthday twin that you know of?
I do, but I don't know who.
You don't know who they are?
1,000 Foot Deep End said happy Friday, PCC. Nice to see Ian back. On the topic of Harry Potter, my brother-in-law bought Hogwarts Legacy to own the libs, but absolutely loves it.
Well, at least he loves it, right? I didn't want people buying a game just out of spite because a bunch of weird blue-haired people
told them they should.
Well,
you're obviously going to play it and like it.
At least the game ended up being good, therefore he made a good purchase. But imagine you're the person who buys it.
If you buy it and not intending to play it, that's weird. But everyone who bought it played it.
Let's hope. Let's hope that nobody just bought it.
And if one of your reasons was owning the libs, that's fine. Dumbledore said, buy physical media, music, games, movies. They can't be retroactively edited to conform to modern sensibilities. Otherwise, you're at their mercy.
Oh, and I'm on certain days, I'm more paranoid about that than others. Usually, if
more paraboo about that.
Paraboo, yes. I'll watch if I have to watch something on Disney Plus, that one I'm worried about. Anything on Disney Plus is liable to be edited or changed just because Disney's standards have changed so drastically in the last 20 years about what's acceptable. Mm-hmm. So,
just where's Song of the South? Why isn't it on Disney Plus?
Why isn't it on?
Why can't I watch it?
Yep.
X said, Brett, best B and C sci-fi horror movies.
I'm not
sci-fi or horror, not sci-fi horror.
That's a very good question. I would have to think more about that. I'm not I wouldn't be able to give you a bunch of them off the top of my head. Do you guys have do you have a sci-fi or a horror movie you love?
I don't know if Event Horizon, would you call that a B movie? It's more of an A movie.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I like Alien 2. Oh, that's obviously.
Yeah.
I thought that Psycho Cop 2, Psycho Cop Returns is pretty hilarious for a cheap movie.
Yeah.
That would be like a B horror slasher flick. Yeah, that's worth checking out.
What do we mean by these like B and C?
B is like the budget basically.
But how do you like? Are there actual numbers assigned to each?
No. It's just it's a term given.
You're like D-list celebrity, like they're just making it up.
Somebody says Interstellar. That's as A-list as it gets.
Yeah, that's.
No. I would definitely have to think about it. Like there's somebody's mentioned Donnie Darko. I love the movie Dark City with Kiefer Sutherland.
I see it.
I've been meaning to watch that since you mentioned it.
Yeah, somebody mentions Fringe, the TV show. Everyone should watch Fringe. If you love the X-Files, the Fringe is the spiritual successor to the X-Files, and in a lot of ways does it better. It's one of the ones like me and Tim don't agree on that one. Tim didn't like Fringe. I love Fringe, and even though Joshua Jackson is an absolute raging liberal lunatic, it's great. John Noble.
If something has a budget of $10 million, is that a B?
It could be a B movie, yeah. Like what are you thinking?
Devil, from M. Night Shyamalan.
You know, times have changed too because you can spend way less money on a movie. You don't need to buy film, and your cameras are like $3,000. You can have like phenomenal camera for $3,000. So it's not quite about as much about money as the quality of the writing and the acting now.
Well, the money doesn't go into that. The money goes to
Devil,
the actors and to the post-production.
They're stuck in an elevator the whole time, and most of the time that things are actually happening, the lights are off.
Yeah.
So you don't even need to do special effects. You just show the results afterwards.
What was that movie we reviewed? Oh, maybe we didn't review it. The one the starring Zoe Kravitz that came out. It was that crappy movie, and almost all takes place in her apartment because it was filmed during COVID. It's almost horrible. And it was so preachy and annoying, and it was so bad. Like that would be an example. Like years later, like those types of B movies, now they just go straight to streaming. Like B movies just go straight to streaming now. Mm-hmm. So.
Except for if you're bros.
Which made no sense whatsoever.
Or a documentary made by AOC.
Yes.
We're already through the super chats, by the way.
All right, guys. Ooh, Blair Witch Project. That's a good mention as well. All right, Ian, my friend, thank you.
Oh, well, thanks for having me, Brad.
Let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me at IanCrossland.net. You're going to want to go to Cast Castle on YouTube. That's youtube.com/CastCastle and check out the latest clip of myself. You'll see my face. Ian Crossland discusses his contract. Also, check out Timcast. Well, I guess we're going to Timcast IRL tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. where I will be. You'll see me there. Subscribe to me on YouTube at Ian Crossland.
Perfect.
Thanks
Mary,
again.
we got one more super chat there.
Yes. X said, my degree is in physics and Interstellar is a masterpiece. They actually discovered stuff from rendering Einstein's equations for the black hole.
See?
Interesting.
Hollywood can like just by sheer force of budget and a little bit of creativity get things right every once in a while, but it is not the norm. It is the exception.
Yeah.
Mary, where can they find you?
You can find pictures of me on Instagram at Mary Archived, and you can also send me hate on Twitter. That is also Mary Archived. I have an idea for the show that I floated, and I think it might be a good one. I want to do like a call-in type of episode, or like maybe bonus content doing that. So like it wouldn't be a live call-in, but like leaving voicemails for us to react and respond to on a number. And I haven't actually done this yet, but let me know what you guys think of that idea, and if you would want to like call in and ask us a question, or you know, chat with us like we do in the super chats, but with your real voice.
Ooh.
Well, I wonder what you guys think of this idea. Tell me.
That would be interesting. And also maybe like if we have time to like screen ahead of time, like if they have questions like the sci-fi question, I could actually think about it and like get an answer that I actually want to do, right? Like,
I would screen them, I think, and then if they were unacceptable, they would not be. That's why it can't be live, because we can't trust that like someone who doesn't want us to be on YouTube wouldn't like call in and just say a bunch of things against TOS.
Yeah, that would
beep out all the stuff that's against TOS and just be like, whoa, and then go to the next one.
Yeah, like funny. That's an option too.
All right. Did you list your social medias? You listed them all?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was looking
What's
there.
What's it to you?
No, I'm just making sure that I'm not like usurping and just like saying, okay, now my turn to say stuff. All right, guys, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasvik for the show. Oh, before we go, hit the like button before you go. Please subscribe to this channel if you have not done so already. Thank you very much. We are here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. If you listen rather than watch, it's Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. And if you'd like to follow the show on social media, we are on Twitter at popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We'll be back with another episode on Monday. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.